So, the zombie apocalypse has inconveniently ruined your weekend, and the dead now roam the earth. In these dark times, you must search for meaning, for a purpose, for a reason to forge on through the barren wastelands of what was once a vibrant and bustling world. So I thought it would be a fun challenge for me to try to find all the zombies on the elusive zombie hit list. Then I'd build a large museum completely from scratch to display them in an attempt to ultimately preserve a lasting memorial of a bleak and forgotten world. This is a story of survival, perseverance, highs and lows, and this is how Alita Angel survived 100 days in Project Zomboid. Meet Alita Angel, the heroine of our story. A former amateur actress turned zombie killer when the world collapsed following a nasty outbreak of the undead. There is nothing particularly special about Alita, and the only two traits she has is being a fast reader and having an iron back, so that she can of course take heavy loads. Her plan on day one of this living hell is to make her way over to the fire station and secure it as our early base of operations. It's the best base in Rosewood for getting started, but it also has a stripper pole so that Alita can feel right at home. We loot our spawn house, but come up with absolutely nothing, so it's time to head on over to the fire station. As I make my way over, I spy an undead police officer with what looks to be a police bat hanging on his hip. Perfect early game weapon. I make it to the fire station and go about clearing out the surrounding area before I head inside. Once inside, I begin to loot the fire station and I get a massive stroke of luck, finding a sledgy and a welder's mask in a couple of cardboard boxes in the office. It's a massive early find, and considering I have the extremely rare loot mod in play, this is pretty huge. In fact, the firehouse comes up massive. I find a hammer and a screwdriver, an axe, a meat cleaver, a wrench and a pipe wrench, so I'm pretty well stocked for early weapons. Securing the firehouse had gone pretty well, but with the zero food loot mod in play, there was absolutely nothing in the kitchen. So I had no choice but to make a desperate push up Main Street for the bakery. Passing the police station, and I spy a zombie with a duffel bag. Mine. I make it to McFudgington's and find enough food to get me through the night. I get greedy though, and I try to push further up Main Street, but quickly realise that this was a mistake. There is just too many of them. I almost end the run on day one as a zombie grabs me and tries to take a bite. Luckily, it's just a laceration, but it is on my neck and I almost bleed out. After that close call, I decide to stop pushing my luck and head for home. I then arrange the shoes I have looted on the first day and I head to bed. Zombie kill count, 91. I awaken to heavy fog and a rumbling stomach. Food is the priority today, as I ate everything I got from McFudgington's the night prior. I have to push up Main Street to the 7-Eleven, the supermarket, restaurants and fast food joints for anything that I can find. The dead will be waiting. First things first though, does anybody know what the hell this thing is? Is it like a fuel storage unit? Like gas storage or something? What can I do with this thing? Can I move it? Does it move? Or is it like just stuck there? If you know, please throw it down in the comments below because that would really be helping me out. I trudge through the fog and clear any undead along the way, finding a handy satchel on one of the undead to give myself more storage space for looting. I make it to the 7-Eleven, which has no food inside. I'm also hoping for some key magazines here, mainly just a how to use generators magazine and the coveted zombie hit list, which will be key in this run, but it comes up empty. I push on to the Rosewood Country Buffet to find absolutely no food, and a nice surprise behind this door that almost gets me killed. Getting my shit together, I head over to the supermarket, which thankfully has a few canned goods, a sack of corn, and a sack of strawberries. That's a pretty big early find for food. I also randomly find a wood axe and a tactical fucking tomahawk at the supermarket. Look, I don't know what kind of supermarket this is, but I fuck with it. Jenny's Table restaurant is next. I clear out the undead, but again, there is just no food here. That zero food loot mod really makes things tough. I forge onto Spiffos, but it's getting late and I'm completely exhausted. But I'm no quitter, and I've come all this way. Plus, I really need the food, so I very slowly dispatch the undead. I finally make it inside, I grab all the burgers, fries and tomato sauce that I can, and then I head for home. During the day, I leveled up short blunt, sneaking, light-footed and maintenance to level 1. Zombie kill count 193. I start day 3 with a hearty breakfast of burger and fries that I looted from Spiffos last night. After brekkie, I decide to head straight out for the pizza wheel to scavenge any food I can find before it goes stale. On the way, I get a pleasant surprise by running into the purple member of the barbershop quartet. That's one for the zombie hit list. I fight the undead all the way up Main Street and finally make it to the pizza wheel, picking up 5 pizzas in the process. All this perishable food is huge, and it just lengthens the time before I have to start dipping into the non-perishable stuff, like canned goods. I then decide to fight my way over to the gas station. After clearing the area, I head inside to check for any food, but more importantly, magazines. I still need a How to Use Jenny's magazine and the zombie hit list, but again, I come up dry. I clear out the mechanic shop on the way home and find nothing of note, and then head back to the fire station to drop off loot. On my journey home, I make another zombie hit list discovery. This time, it's the green member of the barbershop quartet. That's now 2 of the 4. Progress. Having looted all the major food spots in Rosewood, it was time to start thinking about long-term sustainable food, and that meant farming. So I decided to head into the fields and start clearing the hordes. I need a safe passage through the fields to get to the farmhouses, which will hopefully hold some key loot to start my farming journey. After clearing out most of the fields, the setting sun dashed any hopes of making it through to the farmhouses before dark, so I decided to head for home and the safety of the firehouse. I then did a little house cleaning by yeeting several corpses out the window and called it a day. Zombie kill count 280. I start the day with life and living for cooking XP, and I level up cooking to level 1. I have to head back into the farming area today to try and secure farming supplies, tools, equipment and seeds to start a farm. The main thing I'm looking for here is seed packets, but more importantly, broccoli seeds, as I have the Gourmet Revolution mod in play, and that mod makes it so that the only seed you can plant with 0 farming XP is broccoli seeds. The annoying thing is, the broccoli seeds take forever to come to harvest, so the quicker I get the broccoli seeds in the ground, the closer I am to not starving to death. Sadly, the farmhouses have been burnt out down here, but there are plenty of zombie farmers in the fields, and they come up with the goods. Trowels, watering cans, and plenty of seeds, including the coveted broccoli, so I can get my farm up and running as soon as possible. I level up light-footed and sneaking to level 2, and then I head further south and make a huge discovery. The glorious How to Use Jenny's magazine. Now, when the electricity inevitably shuts down, I will at least be able to work a generator. All I need to do now is find one. I then head for home to drop off loot, and then I head outside to plant the first seeds of my small farm. A broccoli farm. I dig furrows, plant the seeds, and water my garden. I'm all set. Now, I just had to wait. Any food I find in the meantime will have to tide me over until then. I head back inside and did a little inventory sorting, and then I headed to bed. Zombie kill count? 346. With food and weapons secured, running water still available, and our first farm already planted, we'd had a pretty good first 4 days. Today, I needed to head into town for Book Naked and then also over to the school. I needed all the books and reading material that I could find to begin my skill grinding journey, and having the extra XP boost was going to make everything that much quicker. I find Volume 1s of Farming, Electrical, and Metalworking at Book Naked, so I can get started on those, but unfortunately, no zombie hit list, which is pretty frustrating. If I'm to build my great museum, I desperately need the list. Whilst here, I also decided to loot Rosewood Medical to grab some medical supplies, and then next up, it was off to the school. I go about clearing the dead from around and inside the school before I can make it to the library. It's not a great haul. Only mechanics, first aid, hunting, and tailoring Volume 1. No Carpentry Volume 1 sucks. It will have to be the long way. And still, no zombie hit list. On the way out, I find a school bus, and it was amazingly in great condition, considering I have the Your Car's Fucked mod in play. One missing tyre and a missing battery was really all that was wrong. We'll definitely return for it later. With all the major book spots looted, it was time to start reading and getting some XP boosts for certain character traits, so I begin with Electronics Volume 1 before heading to bed. Zombie kill count, 394. Day 6 started with some life and living for cooking XP. Today was a super slow day, as I just decided to head into the neighbourhood on a loot run, looking for any goodies that I might find. Some highlights included finding a dead guy in a bathroom with 3 guns and some ammo on him. I also found a metal baseball bat, a shovel, a sick motorcycle helmet, a cricket bat, and also some food and alcohol. Late in the day, I stumbled across a Jenny, which will be huge for when the electricity finally shuts down. Tired and over-encumbered, I set off a house alarm and decided to call it a day, and just headed back to the fire station. Upon returning home, I decide to update my map, and then I go about removing some of the rotting corpses from my base. I finish reading Electronics Volume 1 and head to bed. Zombie kill count, 422. Day 7 started with disassembling all the electronics that I had looted in the first week, and got my electrical up to level 1. Today was another quiet day, as Alita just ransacked the local neighbourhood looking for useful items and killing any of the dead that she could find along the way. What I was mainly looking for today was the elusive saw, so that I could start my carpentry journey, but try as I might, no saw. I did, however, find a jack, which will be huge in not only getting a car going down the line, but also for grinding my mechanic skills. I managed to level up sprinting to level 1, and then I stumbled across a survivor house with all the windows boarded up. I knew these houses contained excellent loot, but also, having the zero loot mod in play, I wasn't sure what I would find. Inside was just one weapon, but fuck me, what a dickbuster. A goddamn warhammer. I came home, did some organising around my base, and then started reading Farming Volume 1 before bed. Zombie kill count, 456. I started the day with Life and Living for cooking XP and leveled up cooking to level 2. Today is National Garage Day.
I wonder why he's so eager to go to the garage.
The garage? Hey, fellas, the garage. Well, ooh-la-dee-da, Mr. Frenchman.
Well, what do you call it?
A car hole.
Today is National Car Hole Day because I'm on the hunt for that elusive saw. So, I just head to every car hole I can find in the neighbourhood in the desperate search for a saw, so I can finally start my carpentry journey, which of course will be key in building my giant museum. I looted almost every car hole in Rosewood with no luck. A key find was an empty gas can, but the saw continues to evade me. The only place left now is the locked garages with no windows, which I can use my sledgehammer to knock down. And there are also a few car holes in the gated community up north, but that's a job for tomorrow. I get home, clean up, and drop off loot, and then finish reading Farming Volume 1 before heading to bed. Zombie kill count, 500. It's day 9, and the search for a saw goes on. I head to the gated community up north, and I take my industrial breaching hammer with me to gain access to car holes. Whilst looting, I came across a small crossbow and a few bolts, and you absolutely know I had to immediately use it. It's not super effective, but it is fun, and once I get better at aiming, I can absolutely go full Daryl. I stumble across a nomad zombie. I love his outfit, so...
I will take what is mine. With fire and blood, I will take it.
Plus, his backpack is massive and has far more carrying capacity than my current duffel bag. My industrial breaching hammer is shit and breaks halfway through the day, so I couldn't get into any more car holes, so I just looted a couple of homes and came back to the fire station. On the way home, I ran into a stalker zombie and stole his cool outfit, and then I also found a 333N news reporter. He might be on the zombie hit list, so I killed him and took his shit. Returned home and dropped off loot. Then I began reading Mechanics Volume 1 before bed. Zombie kill count, 555. It's day 10, and all this walking around Rosewood was getting tiring. I needed to get a car up and running, so I spent the morning finishing off Mechanics Volume 1. Then, with my jack, lug wrench, and screwdriver equipped, I set off grinding mechanics for the day and searching for a car to hopefully get up and running. The zombie numbers are dwindling. I've killed over 500 zombies in Rosewood, so roaming the streets has become easier as I trudge through the rain from car to car grinding mechanics. But then, I get lucky. I find the key to this Crown Victoria police cruiser in the glove box, and despite having the Your Car's Fucked mod in play, she amazingly starts, and even has a little gas in her. I head north to fill her up at the gas station, but run into quite a few zombies. Perhaps a meta event has drawn in dozens from the surrounding area. I cleared the gas station of zombies earlier in this run, but now I had to do it all over again. I fill up the car and then head back to the gated community to finish breaking into the remaining car holes. This time, I take my sledgy instead of the shit industrial breaching hammer. Still no luck on a saw though. I come home and head to bed. A successful day now that I'm mobile. Zombie kill count, 610. I wake up to a breakfast of corn.
For me, I really like corn.
What do you like about corn?
It's corn!
It's the last of the sack of corn that I looted from the supermarket on day 2. In fact, it's the last of all the fresh, perishable food that I have. I'm now onto my non-perishables. It's a decent haul, but it's only day 11, and I don't expect my broccoli farm to be ready to harvest for another 12 or so days. It's touch and go. Today, I decided to start my carpentry journey, so I head over to the police station to clear it out and loot the armory. With the police station cleared out, I went about disassembling anything that I could find, and leveled up Carpentry to level 1. It's slow going without the XP boost from Carpentry Volume 1, but needs must. I head home and drop off loot, and then, using the planks I got from disassembling furniture, I board up the front 2 broken windows on the fire station for extra safety. Then, I decide to do a little house cleaning. I grab my shovel, and I head outside. After burying all the dead around the fire station, I head back out to the neighbourhood to continue grinding carpentry. I come home and then board up the east side windows of the fire station. This is pretty slow going without a saw. Zombie kill count, 613. Day 12 started with grinding more carpentry to reach level 2. The last few days had been pretty quiet for Alita, and she was now itching for some action. So I thought I would drive down to the gas station south of Rosewood and have a look around. I stopped off at the logging station on the way down to clear it out. Nobody saw that coming. Oh, thank you, sweet 4-pound, 3-ounce baby Project Zomboid Jesus. After days of searching, I finally have a saw. Now, I can really start my carpentry journey, and construction on the Great Zombie Museum has the green light. I make it down to the gas station and spent most of the afternoon just clearing the area of the undead. I found Ghostface, that's one for the zombie hit list. With most of the dead cleared out, I could gain access to the gas station, hoping to finally find any of the 3 zombie hit lists. But the magazine stands are just full of maps. So, I headed home and sorted the loot from the day, and then got stuck in a Carpentry Volume 2 to get XP boosts. During the day, I leveled up Axe to level 1 and Short Blunt to level 3, and I also realised that I'd developed the underweight trait, but really, there was little I could do about it. I have to ration my food as best as possible, as the zero food loot mod meant food was scarce, and until I got some kind of decent farm going, I have no choice but to ration. Zombie kill count, 710. Day 13, and it's a carpentry grinding day. I finish reading Carpentry Volume 2 and then head into the neighbourhood to disassemble anything that I can find in an effort to get to Carpentry Level 4. Returning home exhausted, Alita falls into a deep depression. With no human contact now for weeks, she drowns her sorrows by getting absolutely shit-faced and burying her head in some fiction novels, dreaming of being far away from this place. Zombie kill count, 712. With level 4 carpentry achieved, it was time to begin Operation Zombie Hit List. So, a trip to Fashionable was in order. I needed all the mannequins and mannequin stands that I could find, so that I will eventually be able to display every last zombie on the list. You have to have goals. While out and about, I decided to pick up a couple of jennies that I had found earlier and secure one at home and one at the gas station. The water and electricity was bound to shut down any day now, and I had to be prepared. With daylight left, Alita decides to head to East Rosewood to clear out as many zombies as she can. Clearing out the dead, and I come across a key find, the red barbershop quartet zombie. That now means that I've got all 4. Perfect. I return home and wash and dry the barbershop quartet outfits, and then set them up in what is a beautiful preview of what the great zombie museum could be. It's glorious. Zombie kill count, 761. Day 15 was all about grinding more skills, so I decided to head up Main Street and work on every car that I can find to level up mechanics. If I can get my mechanics skill to level 2 and electronics to level 1, I can then hotwire cars, which will make it far easier in getting vehicles up and going. Along the way, I find a Ford F700 fuel truck, which was in decent nick. I get that going, filled it up with some gas, and then took it home. My car collection grows. I continued to work on cars throughout the day, grinding mechanics, and I finally leveled up to level 2. As evening begins to set in, I decide to see if I can get one of these ATVs that I've found up and running. And after taking parts from the red ATV to fix up the green one, we're off and running. I don't really need an ATV, as it has no storage space and easy access for zombies to bite me, but they are cool as fuck, and I wanted one, so this is happening. Returning home, and I start to realise that food is depleting way quicker than I thought. I don't think my broccoli farm will come to harvest in time, and I may have to leave Rosewood very soon, in the search for more food. Before bed, I get a start on First Aid Volume 1. Zombie kill count, 768. It's day 16, and I spent the morning adding a chain to the wooden baseball bat that I found yesterday in the trunk of a car. Today, I decided to go for a visit to IKEA. I was sick of going up and down the stairs to my living quarters and car hole, and wanted to set up a nice area downstairs to make my base a little more efficient. So it was off into the neighbourhood on an IKEA run, and I headed straight for the gated community, as they were bound to have the nicest stuff. I began my shopping spree, picking up anything I thought would look lovely back at the fire station, but it was slow going. The police cruiser really doesn't have much space in it for furniture, and without a trailer, this was going to take several trips back and forth. But then, I found a Chevrolet C10 in really good condition. It just needed a battery and some gas, and even though I didn't have a key, I could now hotwire cars, considering I leveled up mechanics to level 2 the day prior. So getting this truck going became my priority, so that I would have more space for furniture runs at IKEA. A couple more IKEA runs, and I set up some of the area downstairs. It's definitely still a work in progress. Late in the evening, and I decided to head to the Bright Flag Inn and went about clearing out the dead. I managed to find some chips and some booze. Any extra food at this point is pretty massive. Then I headed on home. Zombie kill count, 798. I spent most of the morning finishing reading First Aid Volume 1, then continued IKEAing my base. I then head back out into the neighbourhood for more furniture, but more importantly, back to the 7-Eleven for the 2 awesome arcade machines. I check out the bus outside the church. She's in good nick, but it's locked and I can't get in. Now, does anyone know if you can get into these locked cars? I swear I've seen people break car windows to gain access, but I couldn't find any option to break a window on this bus. If you know, let me know in the comments below. I head home and I continue to organise my base. She's now looking more homely and I'm pleased with the results. I give the new arcade machines a whirl, which also have an upside of curing boredom. Crossword magazines can now get fucked. Late in the evening, I realise the water has now shut off. That's not good. I'll need to find alternative sources of water from here on out. I check on the condition of my broccoli farm, as without readily available water, I will have to make sure that I've got enough to keep the garden well watered. I head inside and begin reading Metalwork Volume 1 before bed. Zombie kill count, 804. It's day 18, and Alita awakens from a restless night. She has decisions to make. Rosewood is ever quieter, having killed over 800 zombies. The streets are barren, all the POIs are basically looted, and with the water shutting down and food running out, it was beginning to become more apparent that she would have to leave the safety of the fire station and move on from Rosewood. Alita was also 18 days into this journey and still no closer to finding the elusive zombie hit list, and construction on the Great Zombie Museum had yet to begin. There was still much to do. But for now, we still had a couple of things to do. Alita wanted to get one of the buses going, and we can't leave Rosewood without clearing the prison. But clearing the prison, well, that needed a plan. First things first though, Alita decides to head up to the school to see about this bus. I managed to get a new tyre and a heavy duty battery into the school bus. It's ready to go. But for the life of me, she just won't hotwire. What a fucking bummer. I head back home and then go out on foot to collect the police car that I left in the gated community, a shoey key in the plan that I have for taking the prison. I then decide to head out and clear out the road on the way to the prison. I make it to the prison and begin clearing the outskirts, ready for the main attack in the coming days. Killing as many as I could, I level up sneaking and light-footed to level 3 and long blunt to level 1. And as the last rays of sunlight disappeared from the fading blue sky, I turned back for home. Hopping into bed, and I continue to read Metalworking Volume 1. Zombie kill count, 924. It's day 19, and as I go to head downstairs, the power shuts down. 19 days was a good run, and having set up my Jenny earlier for this very outcome, I head outside and I get it going. With power restored, it was now time to lay out the plans for Operation Shawshank. Step 1. I needed to draw out all the zombies from inside the prison, and I had just the car to do it, the trusty old police cruiser. My plan was to drive the police cruiser up and inside the walls of the prison, leaving it there and returning to the fire station on foot. Step 2. Having returned to home base, I then drive my truck back to the prison outskirts and park it in a prime position for a getaway. Step 3. Once the getaway car is in position, I can walk back to the police car, get out my trusty old shotgun, and then turn on the siren. Step 4.
Hold on to your butts.
Step 5.
I started blasting. Bah! Bah!
So, it was time to head to the prison and set up step 1. Position the police car. I thought I would take my warhammer to see how she goes in a fight. I might be needing her. And as it turns out, the warhammer is a walking erection. It's one-hit chaos. I absolutely love her. There seems to be quite a few zombies outside the prison, so I have to go about clearing them again before I can position the police car to exactly where I want it. I level up Long Blunt to level 2, and I find Leatherface. That's one for the zombie hit list. I continue to kill and kill and kill until it gets dark. I then grab the stuff out of the police car boot, because I might not be able to get back to it later. And massively over encumbered, I make the slow walk home. I drop off loot and head to bed. With step 1 accomplished, Operation Shawshank was well and truly underway. Zombie kill count, 1,114. It's day 20 and I wake up refreshed and ready. I change into army combat mode and then I sit down and contemplate the day ahead. I drink a beer to calm the nerves and then it's up to the prison to complete Operation Shawshank. I arrive at the prison and complete step 2 by parking my truck in the prime getaway position. And now it was just time for steps 3, 4 and 5. So I head on over to the police car, take some beta blockers, take a deep breath, and then I turn on the siren. I'd managed to butcher 398 zombies with my shotgun, but there was still so many more. I wasn't ready. Operation Shawshank was a failure, and without extra shells for my shotgun, I don't know if I can return to the prison anytime soon. I did, however, level up aiming to level 4, reloading to level 2, and maintenance to level 3. Disappointed with the failure to secure the prison, but happy in the knowledge I still lived and breathed, I sat down on the couch and put on a movie. Plus its own world. One beer turned into 2, turned into a bottle of wine, and I get absolutely shit-faced. Alita falls into an uneasy sleep. The horrors of the massacre never too far from her mind. Zombie kill count, 1,512. I awake after an uneasy sleep. I've realised we are over 20 days into my journey and still no closer to finding the elusive zombie hit list. And then it finally dawns on me. I can bloody craft them. So I head out on a quick looting run to find crayons for crafting and some fresh water for staying alive. And then I arrive home to do a little crafting. Finally, after 21 days, I have the list. Looking at the list, some were going to be hard to find, as they looked like regular zombies, and there were others not on the list that I would add to the museum personally. Either way, the task was underway, and with the barbershop quartet already collected, it was fun for Alita to finally have a purpose in these dark times. With the failure of Operation Shawshank still fresh in my mind, and the deserted streets of Rosewood, some big decisions were looming. With the zombie hit list finally secured, it was now time to start construction on our great museum. But we needed a place on the map to build it, so with a full tank of gas, I headed out to scout some areas for a possible build site. I head northeast of Rosewood and come across some shops on the side of the road. I've cleared a little area and realise I'm standing in front of a gigamart. And considering the food situation back at home, I have to check it out. There's nothing in the storefront, but I hit pay dirt in the storage area out back, with a massive find of some non-perishable foods, including canned goods, chips, granola bars, sweets and lollies, and some dry ramen. It's a big find. I push on, hoping to get to Muldra, but these random shops quickly turn into some kind of huge town. I had no idea this was here. I don't know what it is, but there are zombies everywhere. I drive around, looking to gather some intel on what I'm dealing with. One wrong move, and I'm dead though, as there are thousands here. It's getting late, and I decide to head back to the safety of Rosewood. Before I do that, I decide to totally fuck up my car. I make it home, no closer to finding the right area to build my museum. Zombie kill count, 1,535. It's day 22, and I wake up and gorge myself on the new food that I found yesterday at the Gigamart. This food is key, and it will hopefully bridge the gap between now and when my broccoli farm is ready to harvest. Then, I head out to canvass Rosewood for a new vehicle. I check several cars, but thanks to the Your Car's Fucked mod, none are any good. I arrive back at the school and decide to try to hotwire the bus again, and by some miracle, it finally works this time. Now, I had a battle bus, but the bus really wasn't suitable for looting runs either. Leaving my broken car behind and bringing the bus home, I then decide to take the ATV out to continue to search for a new car. I eventually find a Chevy Blazer behind some of the shops off of Rosewood's main road. She's in good condition and just needs a tyre and some lights. And after a little TLC, I've got a new car going. I then decide to head back out to that random town to do some more recon. This town is absolutely fucked. It's huge, but there is literally thousands of zombies here. Getting out of my car now would be almost certain death. I drive around the town as much as I can to get a lay of the land. I do spy a clothes shop with 6 mannequins in the window. That will be huge for the zombie museum, but how I will ever get to them is anybody's guess. I then make a terrible mistake, and I almost trap myself between some cars, with hundreds of zombies closing in around me. A split-second decision to bail out of the car or stay, and by some miracle, I managed to get out. I make it out the other side of this hellish town and head north to Muldra. I find a sick trailer at the intersection that is jammed with cars. It's a huge find. And arriving into Muldra, I try to make some inroads up the main street, but quickly turn back and head for the intersection and decide to sleep in my car. It's a rough day. Zombie kill count, 1,581. It's day 23 and I awake after a restless night in my car. I make the decision to forge on into Muldra, and while clearing a few zombies on the road, I score a zombie hit list find, finding John Morgan. But whilst fighting, I realise my hand is in pain, and it's taking me way too long to dispatch the zombies. My swing speed is low, and the damage output is super low. This deep wound in my hand is a problem, so I decide to turn tail and head back to Rosewood and home to fix up my hand. I make it back and find some needle and thread to stitch up my hand. Now, I just have to wait until I'm fully healed before taking on hordes of zombies. So I spend the afternoon finishing reading Metalwork Volume 1, and then I decide to head out into the neighbourhood on the lookout for some propane tanks. Returning home, I start reading Electronics Volume 2 before heading to bed. Zombie kill count, 1,607. It's day 24, and I wake up and check on my broccoli farm. It was now young broccoli. We were getting there, slowly but surely. With the farm going well, I decided to head back out and try to breach into Muldra and do some recon. I want to scout Muldra for food, hopefully some clothes stores for mannequins, but also, I feel like maybe just north of Muldra is where I'll set up shop to build my great museum. First thing first though, before I head out, I check the condition of my car, and my hood is fucked. So, having grabbed some propane tanks yesterday, and remembering my amazing find on day 1 of the welder's mask, I grab my propane torch and I head into the neighbourhood to begin my metalworking journey. I level up metalworking to level 1 and manage to get a metal sheet from one of the appliances that I disassembled. With that, I head back to my truck and fix up the hood, and then it's off to Muldra. I arrive and just start to clear out the corner of town to make a launching pad to get further in. I clear out the gas station and take down several hordes in the corner of town. Exhausted, I retreat to my car and I get some sleep. Zombie kill count, 1,729. I wake up and I just start to kill my way up the main street of Muldra. Today is a good day for the zombie hit list, as I run into several candidates. A cultist zombie, gun shop Andy, crossing guard zombie, funeral guy with flowers, and a brickbuster employee. All these zombie hit list candidates are great, but alas, no mannequins to display them. I leveled up Nimble to level 1, but it's getting late and I'm running out of food, so rather than stay another night in my car, I decided to head home and drop off all my loot. As night falls on day 25, we're officially a quarter of the way through our journey. It had been a rough first 25 days. A lot of it involved merely staying alive, finding shelter, food and water were priorities, and the dead were an ever-present danger. With mods involved to make the task that much more difficult, it had taken more time than I thought to get up and running. But with the zombie hit list finally secured, Rosewood cleared, and a nice home base set up, it was time to ramp up the timetable. We needed more mannequins, and we needed to start construction on the Great Zombie Museum. Zombie kill count, 1,821. It's day 26, and Alita wakes up knowing she needs to get a wriggle on with the Great Zombie Museum. But we have 3 problems. 1, I haven't found an area to even begin to build it yet. 2, we needed so many more mannequins seeing as I currently only had 4. And 3, I still desperately need a crowbar because without one, I can't pick up the mannequin stands, which are key for putting my mannequins on. I'm not fucking around when it comes to displaying. But running back and forth between the safety of Rosewood and the dangers of Muldra was becoming time consuming, so I thought it would be a good idea to take quite a bit of stuff with me this time and set up a sort of small base to work out of Muldra from. Grabbing some food for the journey, and it dawns on me just how little food we have left. The sooner that the broccoli comes to harvest, the better. Then I head into the neighbourhood to grab a Jenny to take with me to Muldra. I might be needing power once I arrive, and then we're off.
Do not go gentle into that good night. Old age should burn and rave at close of day. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. Though wise men at their end know dark is right, because their words had forked no lightning, they do not go gentle into that good night. Rage, rage against the dying of the light.
Well, fuck. What a disaster. I'm back on foot, and the only good thing was that it at least happened right on the outskirts of town. But right now, I'm immobile, which isn't great. I head into town and clear the remaining few zombies around the gas station, leveling up Long Blunt to level 3, and in the process, I set up a small, temporary base. After clearing out the surrounding area, I go about getting a makeshift car work so that I can go and push my old car over. Amazingly, I find a car with a little gas, but no battery. I make a battery switch and take it down the highway to knock over my car. Success. I'm back on the road. I park at the gas station, drop off loot, and get the generator up and going. Then, I spend the evening clearing out more zombies and looting the nearby police station. I steal a chair from the police station lobby and bring it back to the gas station, and I sleep in the storeroom. Zombie kill count, 1,937. It's day 27, and I spent the morning killing my way up the main street of Muldra and looting stores along the way. I got into trouble a couple of times with large hordes, but having my warhammer on me meant it was a breeze. One-shot kills is bliss. I find a clothes shop, but was bitterly disappointed that neither had mannequins for my quest. I also found a bookstore and picked up some key books that I needed to continue getting XP gains for leveling up. And then, in the Arvo, I drove around the back of the gas station to a couple of warehouses which were chock full of goodies. But again, massive disappointment with no crowbar. What the fuck do I have to do to find a goddamn crowbar? I looted and cleared the area, and then dead tired and hungry, I retreated to the small storeroom in the gas station and went to sleep. Zombie kill count, 2043. It's day 28, and with Muldra coming up dry for mannequins, it was time to push on and enact Operation Boy Scout. I had to head north to scout for possible build locations for my great zombie museum. I'm thinking that just north of Muldra will be a good spot, as it's a pretty central place on the overall map. And that way, carting around mannequins back to the museum wouldn't be too bad no matter where Alita finds herself on the map. So, I headed north and immediately run into what looks like some kind of military outpost. I backed out of there and checked the map to see if there was another way through, and I found some back streets that might lead me north. It looked promising as I made my way towards the area that I had marked on the map. That was until I came across a small settlement that turned into a rather larger town. This place was crawling with zombies, and it quickly became apparent that this area was definitely no good for building my great zombie museum. I drove through it, looking to come out the other side, but the road was blocked. Having to turn around, I took a wrong turn on the highway, jam-packed with broken cars on one side and a forest on the other. I was in trouble. Zombies were closing in from all directions. I desperately tried to turn the car around, as zombies poured out of the nearby woods, collapsing on me from what felt like every direction. Slowly but surely, with zombies banging on every window, I managed to turn the car around. I could get out. Then, the car abruptly stalled. Shit. I start the car again, but it stalls almost immediately. I'm in big trouble. I desperately try a third time to get the car going, but she's officially fucked. Every second I waste now means that more zombies close in on my position. I have to make a quick decision, and it's life or death. I start the car one more time to push the zombies back, and I get out of the car. Holy shit. Somehow, I managed to escape with just a scratch. Thank you, baby Project Zomboid Jesus. But now, well, now I'm fucked. I'm stranded a long way from any refuge, and the car is gone. Not to mention the key goodies that I carried with me in my car, including full gas cans and any tools and backup weapons that I had. Surely, I've lost them. And the big trailer too. So, I run, with hundreds on my tail. I push back towards the outskirts of this town and finally manage to drop the herd. I kill some stragglers and take refuge in a solitary trailer. Well, shit. Now what? I have two choices. I can either start walking all the way home, or I can hunker down and try to make the best of it while I'm out here. And after checking the map and seeing just how far away I am from home, there's only one thing for it. Hunker down and fight. I return to my trailer as night descends on what was a terrible day. There was one positive though, as I did manage to finally find a crowbar on one of the dead that I killed. Now, if I can find a way out of this mess, I can finally pick up mannequin stands that I will need to display my mannequins. The trailer had a water jug, which meant I had fresh water, but there was one gnawing problem. I was stranded in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by zombies, and with no working vehicle. And I was hungry. Zombie kill count, 156. It's day 29, and a rumbling stomach meant the priority was now finding food. I also needed to find a new car that I can get up and running so that I can try and get out of this mess that I've created. Operation Boy Scout is a total disaster. A thick fog, of course, makes things difficult in the early morning as I head north dispatching a couple of hordes. I then stumble upon a tiny food market right on the edge of town. My stomach growling, it's life or death. Amazingly, I find 4 cans of food and a packet of dried kidney beans. It's a huge find. This will keep me going for a couple of days while I try to figure out a way out of here. I cleared a path back to the main highway and spied my car. I had a new plan. There was plenty of fucked up cars on the highway, and if I could clear the dead from my vehicle, I could perhaps fix whatever the problem is with the car and get it back up and running again. It's a solid plan, but for now, I'm just dead tired, so rather than risk it all, I head back to the trailer to eat and get a lot of sleep in the hope that tomorrow I can find a way out of this mess. I wash up and read some more of Electronics Volume 2 before trying to get some sleep in a horribly uncomfortable chair. Zombie kill count, 2,236. I awake at 6 AM, a restless night. I open a can of tomatoes for breakfast and then head out to hopefully clear a path through the undead to my broken car. I make it to my car, but the engine is on 0%, and without the required mechanics levels, I can't fix her up. I need to find a new ride. So, I spend the day canvassing the area and killing any zombies in the way in a desperate search for a half-decent vehicle. And just when it looks like I'm going to strike out, I finally find a big truck outside a diner that with a little TLC can be up and running. I fix up the truck and then drive it over to the highway to pick up my trailer. I grab an arcade machine from inside the diner because... And then I grab a cot bed from one of the trailers and bring it back to my temporary home. I will sleep well tonight as the horror of Operation Boy Scout can finally be put to bed. Tomorrow, I will attempt the trek home, now knowing that the area north of Muldra is a bust and I'm no closer to deciding on a location for the Great Zombie Museum. Zombie kill count, 2,348. So the scouting run was a fucking disaster, and now I needed to head all the way home. But first, it's time for breakfast, and I decide on some canned corn. Jod, control yourself. Don't you dare. Don't even think about it. I swear to God. I need to go back to Rosewood and the fire station to see if my broccoli has come to harvest. So it's time to jump in the truck and get the fuck out of this nightmare. It's a long and arduous journey, having to swerve left and right to avoid hordes of zombies. And eventually, I make it back to Muldra, where I stop at the gas to go to grab all the loot that I had found in the days prior. Loading up the truck, and I continued the long drive home to Rosewood. Finally, arriving home, and I check on my farm, and my broccoli is ready to harvest. This is huge, and just in time too, as food was running really low. Then, I spend the rest of the evening just unloading the truck and finding places to store all of my loot. Zombie kill count, 2,428. It's day 32, and now that I was back home and well rested, the first thing to do was tend to my garden. The broccoli was ready to harvest. So, I got to work, and it yielded in excess of 50 broccoli, which should keep me going for quite a while. But more importantly, while I was harvesting the broccoli, I leveled up farming to level 2, which means it now opens up far more options for me in regards to what crops I can actually plant. I then got my lumberjack on and cut down some trees, as I wanted to craft 2 rain collectors. These rain collectors were going to be really important for keeping my garden well watered, as the water had been shut off now for over a week. Next up, Alita decides to build a quaint little fence around the garden, before having a look at all the possible seeds that we can plant next. This turned out to be very confusing, because like a complete idiot, I forgot to read the instructions on each seed packet, so nothing came up for me in the menus to plant them. So in the end, I just put more broccoli in the ground, because I'm an idiot. By this stage, Alita was knackered, so she came inside and finished reading Carpentry, Volume 3, before heading to bed. Zombie kill count, 2,429. I wake up to plenty of rain, which was great for my recently built rain collectors, and it also means that now I went out to dip into my clean water jugs for watering my garden. Today, I needed to find a new car. The truck I'd driven all the way home had just 9% on its engine, so I thought I would drive out to the prison. It had been almost 2 weeks since Operation Shawshank, so I thought I would go and get a lay of the land and perhaps find a new car in the parking lot of the prison. I had to kill a few zombies on the road towards the prison, and in the process, I leveled up Longblade to level 2. Arriving at the prison, and I pretty much immediately turned around. The herds had not dispersed at all, and there were far too many to take on. So instead, I had to head back into the neighbourhood of Rosewood for a new car, and I decided to take my welding gear with me and work on levelling up metalworking while I was out and about.
Multipass.
I ended up at the school and found a pickup truck in okay condition. The only big problem is the brakes are absolutely shot. I head inside the school and do some metalworking, taking apart several lockers to level up metalworking to level 2, and then I head back to the fire station. Back home, and I go about trying to change the brake pads on my new whip. I don't really have the required mechanics level to do it without degrading the brakes, but I eventually get 2 new brake pads in at 10% and 41%. It's better than the 0 and 0 that I had before, but it's still not great. Needing a break, I head inside and started reading Mechanics Volume 2 before heading to bed. Zombie kill count, 2,511. It's day 34, and with the terrible failure of Operation Boy Scout still fresh in the mind, it got me thinking. What is the point of risking life and limb looking for a spot to build my great zombie museum when I have a lovely, safe, zombie-free place right here in Rosewood? The field right in front of the firehouse. It's perfect. With the position decided on, the next step was to start construction. So, I got out my trusty sledgy and I knocked down the fence to allow me access with vehicles to the build site. Then, I collected the logs that I'd gotten from chopping down trees earlier and brought them over to the site. I sawed them all down into planks, and with that, I put down our first wooden flooring of our great zombie museum. I continued to lay down flooring until we had a decent little area, which gave me a rough idea of the size of the project that I've got on my hands. In the Arvo, I decided to head back to Fashionable. Operation Boy Scout hadn't been a complete waste of time, as I did manage to find a crowbar, which now meant I could pick up the mannequin stands for my mannequins. Alita then spent most of the day just chopping down trees, bringing over logs and sawing them down, and then laying down more wooden flooring. It was tiring, but rewarding work. Exhausted, I retreated to the fire station and got stuck into Mechanics Volume 2. It had been a quiet day, but having broken ground on the Great Zombie Museum and construction finally underway, it felt great to be making real progress. Zombie kill count, 2,511. It's day 35, and I woke up and finished reading Mechanics Volume 2 to secure extra XP boosts. I really needed to get my mechanics skill up so that I can just fix the cars that I already have, rather than constantly having to find a new one every time I write off my car. With the new XP boosts in mind, I decide to head out and grind mechanics. So, I spend most of the day working on different cars and manage to level up mechanics to level 3. And then I head back to the fire station and decide to keep going with construction on my great museum. I then chop down trees well into the evening, and then I decide to tow this box truck out of the way, as it has been annoying the shit out of me since day 1. I head inside and get started on farming volume 2 before bed. Zombie kill count? 2,516. After a quiet couple of days getting stuff done around the base, Alita felt it was time for an adventure. With construction of the Great Zombie Museum underway, it was now becoming apparent that we badly needed mannequins to fill it. So, a trip to Riverside was in order. So I packed up a few things we needed for the trip, mainly weapons, tools, food and water, and off we went. I took the fuel truck as the brakes on the black truck were absolutely shite, and in a journey this long, I needed a reliable car. As I headed off, I noticed a few zombies had moved into the police station next door. After clearing that out, we were off to Riverside to enact Operation Madak 2 Swords. After a very long drive, swerving in and out of zombies and discovering the outskirts of a few different towns, we finally arrived in Riverside. As I drove through, I did spy 2 clothes stores with mannequins in the window. The operation was a go. Now, I just had to clear the area of the undead, so I got to work. I killed and killed until it got too dark to go on. But having cleared quite a lot of zombies from in and around the main street, hopefully tomorrow I can make it inside both clothes stores. Completely exhausted, I grab a chair and retreat to the Seahorse Coffee back room and sleep for the night. Zombie kill count? 2,648. It's day 37 and I wake up in the Seahorse Coffee shop's back room, refreshed and ready to forge on. Today, I plan to breach both clothes stores and claim the mannequins and mannequin stands inside. Heavy fog makes the going tough. It must roll in off the water here, but I push through and manage to successfully loot saucy clothing for 6 mannequins plus all the mannequin stands. I continue to push down the street, looting the hair salon and Enigma books as I get closer and closer to the second clothes store. And then I find Jason Voorhees. That's one for the zombie hit list. I make it inside Lola Lemon and I start looting the mannequins when I realise I'm completely out of space. Even after doing some Tetrising, I was still well short. So, being the loot goblin that I am and not wanting to leave anything behind, I decide to try to find a new car with more space so that I can bring everything home with me. I manage to find an awesome big family car with plenty of space and I start moving everything over into the new whip. With everything finally looted and secured, I'm ready to head back to Rosewood. But it's super late and dark, and I'm completely knackered, so I decide to make the journey home in the morning. For now, it was back to the Seahorse Coffee Shop storeroom to sleep for the night. Zombie kill count, 2,726. It's day 38, and I awake with fresh optimism. I'd breached into Riverside and I'd claimed all the mannequins that it had to offer. Operation Madame Two Swords had been a great success, but with a rumbling stomach and the car packed and ready, it was now time to head home. So, I jump in the new whip and I head for Rosewood. It was slow going at first. The heavy fog brought visibility down to almost zero, so I took it real slow so as not to crash the car. Having returned home safely, Alita headed upstairs to snack on some broccoli, and then it was time to unpack all the mannequins and their stands for the great zombie museum. Now, we were really making progress, and you could now see a small preview of what it could really become. But we needed more, so many more. I then spend the afternoon unpacking all the rest of the loot from the Riverside run. With everything finally unpacked, Alita, exhausted, falls into bed and continues to read Electronics Volume 2 before hitting the sack. Zombie kill count, 2,744. I wake up on day 39 and finish off reading Electronics Volume 2, and with the new XP boost in place, I then go ahead and disassemble all the electronics that I've looted in the past week, and in the process, I level up electronics to level 3. I then head out to continue construction on the Great Zombie Museum. Late in the arvo, I decide to see if I can drag Bumblebee down to the gas station. It turns out our friend here is a fuel storage unit, and it will be handy to have a bunch of fuel on hand at home, rather than having to head back and forth to the gas station. After towing the car out of the way, I attempt to hook up the bus, but it's a no-go. I next see if I can budge this thing with my truck. It's slow going, but it works, and we're off. I arrive at the gas station and clear out a few lingering zombies, and then I start to fill her up. It takes us well into the night to get her all filled up, and then, with the rain coming down, we make the slow drive home. We make it home, and with Bumblebee all fueled up, it was time to get some sleep. Zombie kill count, 2,754. It's day 40, and Alita wakes up restless. She's eager for another adventure. And looking at the map, I realise that Murder Town almost connects with the corner of Rosewood. And I wonder if I can sneak in from below and claim more mannequins. Well, there's only one way to find out. So, we grab some weapons, I refuel at the new Bumblebee fueling station, and then we hit the road. I arrive into the outskirts of Pit Stop, and I get to work. As I fight my way further into town, I stumble across a C10 truck, which is in absolutely mint condition. And then, fighting zombies on the street, I find the key to it on one of the corpses.
Take it! It's yours!
I continue to cut through the hordes, moving ever closer to my target. But it's getting late, and fighting in the dark is a surefire way to an early grave. So having cleared out a small part of the neighbourhood, just south of the main street, I decide to stay the night in this small house, and then push on tomorrow. Well, fuck. With the amount of zombies in Pit Stop, this will drag in hundreds. I have to bail. And not only do I have to bail, but I have also dragged hundreds right to the access point of getting onto the main road to get to the clothes shop. What a disaster. Exhausted and disappointed with not being able to breach into Pit Stop, Alita falls into an uneasy sleep. Zombie kill count, 2,879. It's day 41, and with the failure to breach into Murder Town, I decided that perhaps I needed a little more stopping power. So, I checked my maps, and there she is, the Riverside gun store. So, another long trip was in order, but this trip was vital. I needed all the guns and ammunition that I could get my hands on if I'm to take on larger population zones. But firstly, I wanted to grab that sick car that I found yesterday on the outskirts of Pit Stop, and considering my current black truck has almost no brakes, it was time for a trade. Returning home, I grabbed some supplies for the trip, and then I set off on Operation Pew Pew. After a long drive, I arrive and start to kill my way into town. This place is fucked. There's literally zombies falling from the sky. Then, I make a huge discovery. I was here for guns and ammo, but there is a bargain close here with 5 manis and mani stands. A huge find. So, I then spend the rest of the evening looting the manis. I get them loaded up, kill some more zombies, and then grab a chair and haul up in the storeroom of bargain clothes for the night. Zombie kill count, 3,019. It's day 42, and Alita wakes up in the storeroom of the bargain clothes that she looted yesterday. Today, I needed to break my way into the guns and ammo store and loot anything that I can find. I take care of the dead outside, and then using my sledgy, I destroy the metal fencing to make my way inside. I start looting, and even with the insanely rare loot mod in play, this place was chock full of goodies. I take everything, and it took me well into the afternoon to loot all of the guns and ammo shop, and then load it up into my trailer. Then, I decided to do a little scouting to see what else was in this town. I spy a fishing and outdoor shop. There has to be some good stuff in there. I try to fight my way inside, but get turned away. There's just too many. I retreat to my storeroom in bargain clothes and get some sleep. Zombie kill count, 3,104. I wake up on day 43, and with the guns and ammo shop looted, and the added bonus of finding manis and mani stands at the bargain clothes, it would make sense to cut and run and head home. But that fishing and hunting store was just too big a draw card not to loot whilst I'm here. So, despite heavy fog making things difficult, I trudged through town, dispatching the undead on my way back to the store. With the fog being too dense and making going really difficult in an unfamiliar town, I decide to take refuge in a car and read some of Farming Volume 2 whilst I wait for the fog to clear. But I completely finished reading the book and it's now past midday, and yet the fog still hasn't cleared. I'm wasting time. So, against my better judgment, I decide to head out and brave the fog. I make it to the hunting and fishing store, clearing the dead as I go, but before I head inside, I spy an arcade next door, and I absolutely have to check it out. Oh my god. I want it all. I have to stay focused. I'm not here for games, I'm here for survival equipment. I reluctantly leave the arcade, and ignoring the hunting and fishing store for now, I venture further into town, and down an alleyway I find a weird little honey shop. I peer inside, and manis. Huge. I found more mannequins for my museum. I head inside to loot and find a bunch of fresh honey. Any extra food right now is pretty huge. I take the manis outside, and then looking for a back way through to my car, I end up in a bigger fight than necessary. Whilst killing the undead, I level up Shortblade to level 1 and then finally head inside the fishing and hunting store, which is a bunch of great survival equipment. Over encumbered, I head back to my whip to drop off loot. It's getting late though, so I decide to spend one more night in the bargain and clothes storeroom before making the long trip home tomorrow. Zombie kill count, 3,200. It's day 44, and I wake up and make my way over to the manis that I'd left outside of the bee shop. I grabbed those and loaded them up into the trailer, as it was finally time to head home to Rosewood. Even though it had took longer than I thought, it was a successful mission. I completely looted the guns and ammo store, getting a huge amount of ammunition that can be used to clear larger hordes, as I had a few places up my sleeve to head to next. I also got a massive bonus, finding manis and mani stands for my museum. And then on top of that, I found plenty of survival gear in the hunting shop. Operation Pew Pew was a raging success. The car though was not in great shape. The engine is in the red, and with a long drive ahead of me, I'm a little concerned in getting home with all my loot. Then, disaster strikes. Luckily for Alita though, the blowout happens right near a couple of broken down cars, so I decide to stop and see if I can grab a new tyre. I find a fresh tyre on the back of the Jeep and go about installing it on my beaten up old truck. As far as disasters go, this one was turning out to be just fine. I hop back in the car and it's off we went, but something didn't feel right. The car was dragging. It almost felt like the tyre I just changed onto my car had almost immediately fallen off. So, needing to take a look at the right side of my car, I turned the steering wheel and crashed straight into a tree.
That was fucking embarrassing!
Turns out, the tyre change seemingly didn't work, and I do in fact have no front right tyre. But that is now all irrelevant, as after crashing into the tree, the engine now won't start. Well, fuck. So, I'm stranded in the middle of nowhere with no ride. Absolute disaster. So with nothing left to do but get on the move, I grab some supplies and I head south for what looks like the edge of a town. I arrive into the outskirts of this unknown town and have no choice but to kill my way in. It's getting late though, and I haven't seen any cars whatsoever, so I clear out a falafel shop and grab a chair and sleep in the bathroom for the night. Zombie kill count, 3,284. It's day 45, and I wake up in the bathroom of a random falafel shop. I need to find a new car so that I can get back to my trailer and get home with all my loot. So I head out on the search for a new vehicle. I come across a couple of cars, but they both are out of gas. Then I come across a big dump truck. The engine is in pretty bad shape, but she runs, and she even has a tiny bit of gas, which will be enough to get me back to my trailer. I drive back to my broken car to pick up the trailer, and on the way, I swear I spy Patrick Bateman. I stop the car, get out, and sure enough, there he is, in all his glory.
Is that a gram? New card. What do you think?
Whoa, very nice. Look at that.
That's one for the zombie hit list. I make it back to my broken down car and move all the loot into the new whip. I attach the trailer and we again set off for home. Finally, after 5 long days on the road, I make it back home. I check on my garden and make sure that it's all well watered, and then I bring down a couple of lockers from upstairs, as I will need the room for all the new loot that I've returned home with. Then, exhausted, I head to bed. Zombie kill count, 3,329. It's day 46, and it's a super quiet day for Alita. We check on our food supplies and also check on the progress of the farm. And then we spend a lot of time unpacking all the loot we got from Operation Pew Pew. But most of day 46 is just a build and organise kind of day. So I spent the arvo moving my mannies around. I needed to get this sorted into some kind of cohesive look. I can't decide if I want one sprawling warehouse kind of look or if I should build some stairs and go for a multi-level museum. In fact, let me know which one you guys think I should go for in the comments below. Next up, I head over to the police station to begin tearing up flooring that I want to use in my museum. It's time-consuming work, but the Great Zombie Museum is slowly starting to come together. And then, having looted the hunting and fishing store in Riverside, I decide to get stuck into Fishing Volume 1. Food is running really low, and with the farm still a good week away, I need to find new ways to acquire food. So, tomorrow, I would start my fishing journey. Zombie kill count, 3,329. It's day 47, and Alita wakes up and spends most of the morning finishing off reading Fishing Volume 1, as today she wants to head over to the small lake just south of Rosewood and try a hand at catching some food. So, with all our fishing gear equipped, we head on over to the lake, clearing the dead as we go. After clearing the vicinity around the lake, I get to work setting up our fishing traps, and then I get out our fishing rod and do a spot of relaxing fishing. Alita felt great. The slight cool breeze across her face, the warmth of the sun on her skin, the sound of the lapping water and the reel being sent out. For a brief moment, Alita forgot all about the horrors of the devastating collapse of mankind. Then, the line caught, and flushed with excitement, Alita reeled in her first catch, a pair of old socks. Fuck, fishing was hard. Outside of the socks, the only thing we caught was a small pajeri. I have no idea about fish, but it only gave me -1 hunger. Does anyone know what I can do with this fish, or is it utterly pointless? Running out of worms and insects to pop on the fishing hook, we had to head home. I made some instant popcorn and got a start on Foraging Volume 1, as I would need to do some foraging tomorrow to hopefully find some more worms to pop on my hooks. Zombie kill count, 3,399. It's day 48, and I wake up and finish reading Foraging Volume 1 to secure XP boosts. Then, I decide to head back out to the lake to check on my fishing traps. The traps come up massive, with a ton of fish, eel, crab, crayfish, and a giant wolffish. Arriving home, and then I fillet up one of my big fish, stick it in the oven, and Bob's your uncle. Fresh meat. Alita was in heaven. Actual, real, fresh fish, cooked to perfection.
Let me tell you something, and listen to me.
That was delicious.
With his stomach full to bursting, Alita heads outside to do some foraging. I level up foraging to level 1, and then I head back to the fire station. I spend the evening doing a little construction work on the museum, and then I organise the manis and the mani stands a little better to get an idea of the setup that I will go with. She's really coming together. I head home and I realise that I can craft a stormtrooper outfit, and I must absolutely have one for the Great Zombie Museum. So I craft one and I give it a whirl. Then I get started on cooking Volume 2 before heading to bed. Zombie kill count, 3,426. It's day 49, and we're officially approaching the halfway mark of our epic journey. With quite a few mannequins collected in the last couple of weeks, and construction well and truly underway on the Great Zombie Museum, I thought it was time to have a look at the list and start setting them up inside the museum. I needed to cross off those that I found on the list and make it a little easier to identify zombies that we still needed to find. So I get to work dressing up my mannequins and crossing some zombies off the list. I have all 4 members of the barbershop quartet. I've got one of the 2 Jason Voorhees on the list, and I found Leatherface and Freddy Krueger. I've collected a cultist zombie, John Morgan, Gunshop Andy, a Brickbuster employee, and a crossing guard zombie. I've also found Funeral Guy with Flowers, Yellow Hazmat Zombie, a Triple N News reporter, Spy Red, and Ghostface. I've also found some zombies that aren't on the list, but I've added to the museum personally, like Boxer Zombie, Amazonia Warrior, Stalker Zombie, Nomad Zombie, a member of the Barrel Dogs Biker Gang, and the Snow and Grass Ghillie Suit Zombies. I still also had some recent finds, like Patrick Bateman, which I hadn't set up yet, but looking at the list and crossing off those that I found, it had become abundantly clear that there was still much work to be done. We needed more manis. A lot more. It was getting late, and I decided to head over to the small lake to check on my fishing traps. Unfortunately, whilst checking them, 3 of them broke, but 2 remained, and we got a decent little bit of seafood from the traps. And in the meantime, we also leveled up fishing to level 1. On the way home from the lake, I decided to stop and clear a bunch of zombies, and in the process, leveled up Longblade to level 3. I come home and have a bunch of algae for dinner, and then I continue reading Cooking Volume 2 before bed. Zombie kill count, 3,446. It's day 50, and we're officially halfway there. Spending yesterday setting up all the zombies we have found for our museum made it pretty obvious that we needed more mannequins. So, I decided to head back into Murder Town to see if I could breach the clothes shop there for the 6 manis on display. The last time we had tried, we had set off a house alarm right at the wrong time. But with a few days having passed, I'm hoping the herds have dispersed, and I can make my way down the main street and grab the manis and the mani stands that I need. Considering the amount of zombies in town, I'm going to need some good weapons. I'll take the Mossberg as a last resort, but going loud in pit stop could be a death sentence. Then, I remember the katana. Perfect. She'll be one-hit chaos. I gear up and I head out. It's a massacre. The katana is balls deep as I cut my way through hordes of zombies to within striking distance of the clothes shop. But killing so many zombies has taken up most of the day, and with darkness descending, I take refuge in what looks to be a butcher's shop just a couple of stores down from my target. As day 50 draws to a close, I can sleep well, knowing tomorrow there is potentially 6 more manis on offer as my dream of the great zombie museum lives on. Zombie kill count, 3,655. It's day 51, and I wake up in a random butcher shop in the middle of pit stop. Having just fallen short of making it to the clothes shop last night, Alita was determined to forge on and kill her way into Sammy's clothing store. Pit stop is swarming with zombies, and just when you think you're clear to loot, more seem to come. Luckily though, I have the katana, which is absolutely OP. I love her. I finally clear the area around Sammy's clothing store and can make it inside to loot 6 manis and mani stands. Huge. With the road clear of the dead, I decided to loot some of the stores along this main strip, including the bookstore, a water dispenser shop, and a tool shop, which had some great loot inside. With the trailer full to the brim, I decide to not push my luck in pit stop, and I head for home. Arriving back at the fire station, and having not eaten in nearly 2 days, Alita heads upstairs and cooks up some fish.
Cook your fucking dish and shut your fat mouth!
As she enjoyed her fish and the pangs of hunger subsided, Alita reflected on the last couple of days. Finally, being able to breach into pit stop had been a huge battle, which she had eventually won. And with the manis and mani stand secured, she felt one step closer to achieving her dream of the great zombie museum. Full to bursting, she then spends the evening unpacking the trailer from the loot run. Then, I jump into bed and continue reading Cooking Volume 2 before heading to sleep. Zombie kill count, 3,761. It's day 52, and I start the day by just continuing to empty the trailer from all the loot that I got from the run into pit stop. It's super boring work, so I jump on Kaboom for a bit of fun. Then, I unload the manis and the mani stands that I got from Sammy's clothing store, and I adorn them with new entries into my museum. I've got a few who aren't on the list, like this cool gas mask survivalist zombie, a Kentucky baseball player, and a member of the Wild Raccoons biker gang. But I did find a couple of zombies from the list, a member of the Kansas City Chiefs, and Jacket the Rooster. In the Arvo, I decide to head up to the motel to disassemble all the beds that I can find, as they give you max HP for Carpentry, and I needed to grind my Carpentry level up to level 7 to be able to build proper nice wooden walls for my museum. I grind Carpentry halfway to level 6, but ran out of beds to disassemble, so then I head down to the police station to tear up more flooring for the great zombie museum. I return home and put down the flooring that I got from the police station. It's slow work as construction continues. And then I take a look at my new car and decide to fix up the hood with one of the metal sheets that I've inside the fire station. After fixing up the car, Alita heads inside and makes some dinner. Then tired, jumps into bed and finishes reading Cooking Volume 2 before falling asleep. Zombie kill count, 3,765. It's day 53, and Alita wakes up and finishes off the soup that she made from last night. She then cooks up a couple of crayfish and gathers supplies for another looting run. We needed more mannequins and mani stands, so I thought it was time to enact Operation Dawn of the Dead. It was time to hit up a shopping mall, and the closest one on the map to me was far south of Louisville. So I gathered supplies, including food, water, tools, and weapons, and I headed out. The journey is going well, and as I pass through a familiar old haunt, the road opens up to reveal some shops alongside the road, and it also seems to be quite clear of the dead. Interest piqued, I pull in to investigate in the hopes of finding some clothes stores, but it quickly turns into a gigantic parking area. This can only mean one thing: shopping mall. I drive around its huge girth and come across a sign adorned on the front: the Crossroads Mall. Perfect. There has to be clothes stores in there, and there has to be mannequins. Plus, I don't have to drive further northeast to find the mall that I was originally looking for. The outside of the mall is strangely deserted, which surely means there are hundreds inside, waiting to get out. I do, however, find some stragglers hanging around, so I hop out my whip and I get to work clearing the area. I cleared the undead until it got too dark to go on. Driving away from the dead so as not to get sick, I park up in the large parking area and find a caravan. I go inside and find a quaint little kitchen and bed. This will be my home tonight. Tomorrow, I intend to breach the mall. Operation Dawn of the Dead is underway. Zombie kill count, 3,849. It's day 54 and I wake up inside my caravan. Today, I intend to clear them all. I have my trusty shotgun and I've brought plenty of ammo with me after our successful run to the Riverside guns and ammo store. So, I exit the caravan and I get Operation Dawn of the Dead underway. Before entering the main mall, I decide to check out the backstage delivery area and I start to clear the dead from inside. It's treacherous work, and one particular hairy moment reminds Alita that all it takes is one lapse of concentration, one mistake, or one misstep, and it can all be over. Refocused, Alita breaches into the mall and decides to stay quiet and sneaky. I managed to loot 2 mannies and bring them back to the car, but knowing I'm not going to get much further in without a whole lot of trouble, I decide to go loud and draw them out. I get out my trusty shotgun and I get to work. It takes me most of the day to cut down the hordes, but I kill over 400 zombies. I don't think I dragged them all out of the mall though, so more will need to be done tomorrow. But for now, I loot the dead and then head back to my temporary caravan to get some sleep. Zombie kill count, 4,269. It's day 55, and after yesterday's carnage, I knew the job still wasn't done. I have a feeling that I didn't really drag all the zombies out of the mall, and there is still more work to be done. I head on over to the entrance of the mall, and sure enough, there are still a lot of zombies hanging around. So, with shotgun in hand, I start blasting. I bring hordes from quite a few different directions, but I have plenty of ammo, and I cut through the herds. Everything is going swimmingly, and then, without warning, my shotgun breaks. It's a disaster. There are far too many to fight without guns, so I have to turn and run for it. I have to regroup. I tentatively go back on foot and break off small groups to dispatch them with my melee weapons. I have a new plan. I swear, in the carnage from yesterday, I shot and killed a police zombie. So, I scour the dead for the downed police officer. Surely, there's a Mossberg lying around here somewhere. After an hour or so of searching, I find one. Perfect. It's time to get back to work and continue to clear the area. It's getting dark though, and I still haven't managed to get inside the mall. On the way back to my car, I find a van with a garden fork in it, but more importantly, some tobacco. This will keep me going food-wise for another couple of days, while Operation Dawn of the Dead continues. Next up, I unhook my trailer and hook up the caravan. I want to drive away from all the corpses, just in case I get sick. So I head to the opposite corner of the mall car park and come across a clothes shop called Dress to the 90s. What a find. But it's late, so I decide to head to bed, and with the first job tomorrow, now looting the new clothes store. Zombie kill count, 4,698. It's day 56, and for some reason, Alita wakes up super early. With nothing else to do, she decides to head out and get an early start on the day. I head inside Dress to the 90s and loot all the manis and mani stands, and then spend the morning looting my way up the line of shops, clearing a hairdresser, a liquor store, and a few other shops. Next up, I decide to head on over to the entrance of the mall to see if I've made any progress at all in the past couple of days. It seems I've made absolutely fuck all, so we get out the shoddy and commence day 3 of trying to clear the shopping mall. I managed to drag out another large horde from the mall, and I cut them down with my shotgun, leveling up strength to level 6 in the process. I clear up any stragglers with my garden fork, and then go about looting the dead, as I found a clown to add to my great zombie museum. It's late and dark though, so I retreat to my caravan for the night. I take apart all the electronics that I've found over the last couple of days, and then I head to bed. Zombie kill count, 5,074. I start the day with some tobacco and honey, and then it was time to head back to the entrance of the mall to survey the situation. I was running pretty low on shotgun shells, and if I still hadn't made a dent, then this operation is going to take way longer than I had hoped. So, I get to work again thinking this might be my last day try to push into the mall. Luckily, I have the garden fork, and I do find a spear with a knife attached to it on a dead zombie. Spears are so OP. I needed more. After 3 days of what felt like non-stop fighting, I stepped back inside the mall, and the front foyer was looking clear of the dead. Huge. Maybe I can loot this shopping mall after all. I headed further inside, leveling up light-footed and sneaking to level 4 as I tiptoe around the bottom floor, clearing the stragglers. Then, I see it. Mannies. So many mannies. It's like a dream. We needed them all. I spent the rest of the evening clearing stragglers to give myself a nice little area where I can loot all of the mannequins. I grab 2 for the road and head back to my camper van to sleep for the night. After 5 days camped out in front of the shopping mall and over 1,500 zombies killed, Alita had finally cleared an area to grab the much coveted mannies and their stands. It had been a huge operation with many setbacks, but Alita settled down and drifted off to sleep, knowing she had finally done it, and the spoils of war were all but hers. Zombie kill count, 5,317. It's day 58, and with a portion of the mall finally cleared, today was the day to head back inside to hopefully loot as many mannies and manny stands as I could get my hands on. Hopefully, the zombie resistance has finally been broken. First things first though, I had to dump all the loot from the trailer that I had picked up in the last few days into another trailer for storage. I'll have to come back for it later. I then head inside and start the laborious task of looting all the mannies and their stands. The trailer though quickly fills up, so I decided to keep pulling them out of the mall and setting them up in the parking lot so that I can get to them easier at a later date. I do this all day long, just one after another, dragging them out to the parking lot until I get too tired and it gets too dark to go on. Exhausted, I head to bed. Operation Dawn of the Dead is finally over, and tomorrow I will return home with the spoils of war. Zombie kill count, 5,320. It's day 59, and with my trailer filled to the brim with mannies and manny stands, I decided to head back to Rosewood and unload them all at the Great Zombie Museum. I'll have to return for the others at a later time because there is still a ton more inside the mall, but yesterday was so boring that we needed a break. Just before making it home, I decide to finally clear this annoying roadblock just near the Onyx Drive-In Theatre. It had been annoying me since day one and it needed to be cleared, so I hopped out my car and I got to work. With the area clear, I decide to use my truck to push the vehicles around to gain access to be able to tow them out of the way. It's intricate work, but worthwhile, as it finally clears the road for easier access south when coming in and out of Rosewood. I make it home to the fire station, and I get to work unpacking all the new mannies and the manny stands that I got from Operation Dawn of the Dead. Next up, I check on my farm, and the broccoli and carrots are ready to harvest. This is huge news for staying alive. So, I get to work harvesting my farm, and I get 81 carrots and 30 broccoli. And whilst doing so, I level up farming to level 3. I do a little cleaning up around my farm, and then dead on my feet, Alita heads to bed. Zombie kill count, 5,359. It's day 60, and returning home after a long adventure, Alita had to reassess the Great Zombie Museum. We needed stairs to make our museum a multi-level building, but for that we needed level 6 carpentry, and we currently only had level 5. So, with our hammer and saw equipped, we headed into the neighbourhood to disassemble all the furniture we could find to grind carpentry. So, I spent most of the day going from house to house, disassembling furniture until I finally leveled up to level 6. Now, I could build some stairs. The plan is coming together. I journey back home and then head across the road to the Great Zombie Museum to continue construction for the rest of the day. Heading back to the fire station, I decide it was time for a fit change. Alita needed a new look, and after several different outfits, we decided on this one, Slay. Alita returned to her bedroom and began reading Carpentry level 4 before bed. Zombie kill count, 5,362. I start the day by cooking up a bunch of seafood to try to arrest the rapid weight loss that we are still combating. Then it was back to working on the Great Zombie Museum. I head on over to the courthouse to tear up flooring for our entryway, and then I head to the police station for more white tiling. Back at the build site, we finish off the nice entryway into the museum. I then decide to head back to the lake to check out fishing traps for any more seafood. It's not a great haul, and on top of that, one of our 2 remaining fishing traps breaks. What a bummer. On the way home, we clear out the dead and also loot one of the farmhouses out here and bring back a crate and a tool cabinet for more storage. I make it home and take advantage of the rain by planting some new seeds in my garden. I plant some zucchini, some onions, and some potatoes.
Potatoes?
But it's late, so I head inside and read Carpentry Volume 4 before heading to bed. Zombie kill count, 5,393. It's day 62, and it's another construction day as I put more work into the Great Zombie Museum. But to ensure that we level up as fast as possible, I spend the morning reading Carpentry Volume 4 because I need to get to level 7 Carpentry so that I can build nice walls for the outside of my museum. I read most of the book, but it's almost midday, and not wanting to waste the day, I put the book down and I head outside and I get to work. First, I decided to build out the fence around my farm. Then I head across the road to chop down more trees for more logs. I bring the logs over to the build site and start sawing them down into planks as Alita continues to construct her great zombie museum. I work on the museum until it's too dark to go on. I eat some carrots for dinner, and then before bed, I finish off reading Carpentry Volume 4 for max XP gains. Zombie kill count, 5,393. I spend the morning putting more work into the Great Zombie Museum. But at around midday, I get a little bored, so Alita decides to go on an adventure. It's time to head back to the Crossroads shopping mall to pick up more of the manis and the mani stands that I'd left in the parking lot. So I head on out and decide for some insane reason to drive through pit stop. What a terrible idea. I run over way too many zombies, I almost get trapped again, and I beat the car up pretty good. This place is hell.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
I do, however, spy 2 POIs in a gun store and a blade shop. You know that I'll be coming back for those. I then double down on the mistake of driving through pit stop and decide to try a shortcut through an unknown town near the Crossroads shopping mall, and I crash my car pretty badly. I finally make it back to the Crossroads shopping mall and immediately get to work loading up the trailer with all the manis and mani stands that I had dragged out of the mall a few days prior. As the sun was setting, Alita decides to head inside the mall to gather intel. The area that I had cleared out was still nice and quiet. But once I got further in, well, the mall was still packed with hundreds of zombies. I needed to stay quiet. I come back out and then drive around the parking lot, sourcing new vehicles. I think I'm going to need a new car, as the engine is just about gone on my current whip. It's too dark to make the journey home tonight though, so I head to my trusty old caravan at the edge of the parking lot and I get some sleep. Zombie kill count, 5,430. It's day 64 and I wake up in my caravan outside the Crossroads Mall. It's early, so I spent the morning finalising my new whip for the journey home, and I choose the Chevy C10, which is in pretty good condition. I siphon some gas over to the new car, connect the trailer, and I start the trip home. It's slow going, but we get through the wilderness and Muldra, and then we come up on pit stop, and I remember the gun shop and the blade store from yesterday, so I decided to stop and check it out. As I clear the hordes, I make a realisation that the gas tank in my truck is badly damaged, and I think it's leaking gas quite quickly. I don't think I'll make it home in this, and running out of gas in the middle of pit stop is a surefire way to get killed. Luck is with me though, as outside the gun shop is a lovely truck in better condition and with a near perfect condition gas tank. I make the switch and siphon what little gas we have left, and then I decide to check out the gun shop. This place is packed with guns and ammo. It's loot for days. But I don't have the space nor the time to loot here yet, so after checking it out, I decide to leave everything and come back for it later. So, with just fumes in the tank, I decide to make the desperate push for home. With the needle on empty, I manage to nurse my ride back to the fire station, and returning home, I fill her up at the Bumblebee gas station. But it's getting late, so I head inside and I get some sleep. Zombie kill count, 5,557. It's day 65, and with the trailer and car packed with mannies and manny stands, I decided to head over to the museum and unpack them all. Slowly but surely, our mannequin collection grows. Hopefully soon, we will have enough to display every zombie on the list and a bunch of my own personal selections. Then, I spend the rest of the day just disassembling anything that I can find in the neighbourhood in a push to get to Carpentry level 7. I finally level up late in the evening and then head back to the fire station and begin reading Tailoring Volume 1 before getting some well-earned rest. Zombie kill count, 5,558. Day 66 is a big, great zombie museum build kind of day. With Carpentry level 7 finally achieved, it was time to get some work done, so Alita heads out to the forest just east of the fire station and starts cutting down a bunch of trees.
I'm a lumberjack and I'm okay. I sleep all night and I work all day.
He's a lumberjack and he's okay. He sleeps all night and he works all day.
Moving the logs over to the build site, and I saw them down into planks and get stuck into building some more wooden flooring and upgrading my walls. It's looking great. Then it was time to build up. We needed some stairs for access to our second floor. Finally unlocking the powers of building up, Alita then gets to work building out the floor for the second level. And then she spends the rest of the day chopping down more trees, sawing more logs into planks, and continuing construction on the great zombie museum. After a long day of hard yakka, Alita retreats to the fire station and continues reading Tailoring Volume 1 before bed. Zombie kill count, 5,558. It's day 67, and I wake up and decide to go check on my one remaining fishing trap in the lake just south of Rosewood. I decide to take my ATV to go off-roading and so that I can be there and back pretty quickly. For fuck's sake, I really can't drive this thing. I try to get it going again, but I fucked the engine. It looks like I'm on foot, but there are quite a few zombies in between myself and the lake, so I get to work. I make it to my trap, but I don't get much at all. A small fish, a bait fish, and some algae. So I head back home on foot to continue construction on the great zombie museum. I continue to put down flooring, also working on the second floor a little too, and move around the manis and the mani stands to get the bottom floor of my museum looking absolutely fantastic. She's really starting to come together. It's getting dark though, so Alita heads home, only to be surprised by one random zombie who has torn down all my barricades and smashed his way in. What a dickhead. I lead him away and put him down, and then re-barricade the window before heading inside and continuing to read Tailoring Volume 1 before bed. Zombie kill count, 5,583. It's day 68, and after a couple of days of working on the Great Zombie Museum, Alita was up for another adventure. We had secured a ton of manis and mani stands from Operation Dawn of the Dead, but what we were lacking now was zombies to dress up the mannequins. Alita needed to get cracking on the zombie hit list, so it was time to head out on the search for zombies to cross off my list. And where better than trusty old West Point. West Point was infamous for being filled to the brim with the undead, so hopefully there would be quite a few zombie hit list contenders milling around the town. But this trip could take days, so I had the bright idea to first head back to the Crossroads Mall and grab the camper van, so wherever we went, we had a safe place to call home. I head south and come back around towards the edge of Pit Stop. If I'm to head into West Point, I'm gonna need weapons, and there is a blade shop that I really want to check out here. Plus, Pit Stop is full of zombies, so hopefully I will find some zombie hit list contenders. I kill my way into Pit Stop, but it gets too dark to go on, so I decide to retreat down the road to the gun range that I cleared out a few days ago. It's been a good first day on the road. I managed to find one member of the zombie hit list in Duke Nukem, and I cleared a lot of the zombies between myself and breaching the blade shop. Zombie kill count, 5,769. It's day 69, and I wake up ready and raring to go. Today, I plan to breach into Pit Stop to loot the blade shop, and then, hopefully, with my bag full of amazing katanas, I can then push on to the Crossroads Mall for my caravan. Zombies seem to come from everywhere, as I have to fight my way through, but I do find this splatter survivalist. That's one for the zombie hit list. I loot a camping store and a general store, and then, with the place relatively clear, I breach into the blade shop. But the blade shop turns into a massive disappointment. I was expecting a bunch of katanas, but it's just full of hand axes and kitchen knives. I did find a couple of machetes, but overall, it's not really worth it. With the blade shop cleared, I jumped into my whip and pushed on for the Crossroads Mall. But just as I'm leaving, I see a horde, and perhaps a zombie of interest. And yes, another zombie hit list contender. This time, Chuck Green. Then, as I'm about to leave, I see a wonderful surprise banging on the window. I will absolutely be having that. Maybe the blade shop run wasn't in vain, after all. I get back on the road and make it into Muldra, but it's getting late, and rather than risk driving in the dark, I decide to kill my way up the main street of Muldra, looking for more zombie hit list contenders, but I come up dry. Retreating to the Gas and Go, where I have stayed previously, I get some sleep in the back room, ready to forge on tomorrow. Zombie kill count, 5,922. It's day 70, and I wake up and decide to head back out on the hunt for more zombie hit list contenders. I kill quite a few zombies, but quickly realise that I'm completely out of storage, so even finding more zombie hit list contenders would mean nowhere to store them. So I make the decision to pack up and push through Muldra and head for the Crossroads Mall. I arrive back at the mall, and whilst here, I decide to fix up my truck by installing a new hood and upgrading some lights, doors, windows, and tyres. After fixing up the car, I move all my loot over into the caravan and continue the journey north to West Point. I finally arrive in West Point and decide to drive right into town, looking for a place to stop and sleep for the night. But this place is just infested with the dead, and nowhere appears to be safe. So I head back out to the highway and clear out a little area where I can sleep for the night. After clearing out a small patch of the highway, I head back inside my caravan and read some more of Tailoring Volume 1 before bed. Zombie kill count, 5,988. Having arrived into West Point, today was going to be a big day of searching for possible zombie hit list contenders so that I can continue to cross zombies off the list. It was going to be a bloody day. The day started off fine as Alita trudged through the rain, dispatching zombies on the desperate search for contenders. And then, like a total idiot, I make a small mistake, which turns into a complete disaster. Fuck. Was it over? Was I bitten? Holy Jesus. Another incredibly lucky escape for Alita. I have to run. I'm a little panicked. I don't have any bandages, which is a rookie mistake, but I'm not bleeding out, so I just need to calm down and create some space between myself and the ever-shuffling horde. I rip up some clothing and bandage up, then I turn to take on the horde. I've been injured on both arms, making my swing speed snail-like and my ability to fight completely impaired. I slowly and carefully dispatch the undead. This day has just turned into a total waste of time. I could never take on big hordes with these injuries, but I must forge on. I slowly walk the highway, trying to bring in just one or two at a time, but after a while, my injuries become too much, and I decide to head back to the camper van to rest and hopefully recover. I tend to my wounds, then finish reading Tailoring Volume 1 before bed. Zombie kill count, 6,109. It's day 72, and after the disaster that was yesterday, I wake up and check on my wounds. Luckily, 3 out of the 4 were completely healed, and now hopefully I could fight with a little more vigour. The storm would roll in overnight though, so going was going to be tough. But there's no going back. I need to find zombie hitless contenders, so I had no choice but to continue to trudge on into West Point on the desperate search for zombies to chalk off my list. The storm is quite brutal and the weather is unusually cold, so Alita goes for an outfit change to keep away the possibility of coming down with a cold. I spent the day killing and killing and killing, and not one single zombie hitless contender pops up. I kill just on 300 zombies and not even one zombie hitless contender. What a terrible day. Filling the museum with every zombie on the list might take longer than Alita had first thought. Exhausted, she retreats back to her caravan to get some sleep. Zombie kill count, 6,409. Alita woke up on day 73 with fresh thoughts. Slowly working her way into West Point was not finding the results that she'd hoped for. Days of fighting zombies had come with little return for zombie hitless contenders, so a new plan was formed. Alita decided instead of working her way slowly into town on foot, she would just unhook the caravan and drive into town to actively search for contenders on the list. We had to get in, locate, kill, collect, get out. Smash and grab, extraction style. But with the sheer amount of zombies in West Point, even this might not be possible. This turns out to be a terrible plan. The car just alerts way too many zombies, and there really is just no clear place to stop, get out, and fight. So, I drive right through town and come out the other end. But as I'm leaving town, I finally spot two possible contenders. A survivalist zombie hazmat guy, and what looks to be Gordon. With a couple in the bank, I drive back through West Point to continue the search. But not only is West Point packed to the brim with the undead, there is also a distinct lack of zombie hitless contenders. The search continues with no luck, and just as I have almost made my full loop around the town, I spy. I must absolutely have him for my museum, but there are too many surrounding my target, so I drive back to my caravan and decide to work my way in on foot. I start to work my way up the street, dispatching the undead one after another, before deciding to turn back to get some sleep. Hopefully tomorrow, the Ghostbuster will still be there. Zombie kill count, 6,575. It's day 74, and I wake up and eat some carrots for brekkie, and then it's back on the hunt for my Ghostbuster. It won't exactly make this trip to West Point a success, but at least I can leave with one more zombie for my museum. After fighting my way through the dead, I finally spy the Ghostbuster. With the Ghostbuster secured, I head back to my caravan and decide to hightail it out of West Point. There are just far too many zombies here to get anything done. So, Alita decides to head back to Muldra, where the zombie population is a little more manageable, and continue searching for contenders on the list. As I head back, I decide to take what looks on the map to be a shortcut through Chinatown. Arriving on the outskirts, I jump out of my car and have a little look around. With still no zombie hitless contenders on offer, I decide to push on through Chinatown, and of course, in true Jod fashion, I make a terrible mistake. For fuck's sake, I just make it clear, with hundreds on my tail. I've again seemed to maroon myself without a car in the middle of nowhere. How have I done this? Again. After regrouping and doing a little switcheroo to lose most of the herd, there was only one thing for it. With my longsword in hand and katana as a backup, I had to kill all the zombies around my car to see if I could get her out. The longsword and katana are balls deep, dispatching zombies in one blow. I manage to clear the area around my ride, and with a little math, I figure out how to salvage not just my truck, but my caravan too. Huge. So I retreat out of Chinatown and take the long way through the overgrown back roads. But wait, who's this?
God damn it, Bill fucking Murray! I had to get that out. I don't mean to gush.
I continue on and head for the Muldra gas and go before parking up and getting some sleep. What a day. Zombie kill count, 6,871. Day 75 begins with Alita just walking up Main Street, killing zombies and searching for any zombie hitless contenders. I do find a cool headhunter zombie, but outside of that, no luck. Midday comes and goes, and Alita decides to head for the sweet safety of home. We make it back to Rosewood, safe and sound, and the first thing we do is check on our farm. Our crops are close to being ready to harvest. That's good news. Then I start to take over all the new contenders that we found on our travels and add them to the museum. We dress up a yellow hazmat survivor zombie, Gordon, a member of the Iron Rodents biker gang, and a Z Hurricanes baseball player. Next up was our Ghostbuster, followed by the Headhunter zombie and Duke Nukem. We also had a green Santa Claus, a prepper zombie, Bill Murray from Zombieland, a splatter survivalist zombie, and Chuck Green. We also had a Spiffos worker, a Robbie the Rabbit bunny suit, and a Riverside Rangers baseball player. All in all, we had added 15 more hit listers to the museum. She is really starting to take shape. Exhausted from her days-long journey to West Point, Alita heads inside the fire station to get some much-needed rest. As day 75 draws to a close, she's 3/4 of the way to her goal of surviving 100 days in Project Zomboid. But the museum was not yet finished, and all the zombies were not yet collected. Alita drifted off to sleep, knowing there was still much work to be done. Zombie kill count, 6,988. It's day 76, and we're officially on the home stretch. Having returned from a long and bloody adventure the day before, Alita knew she was lagging behind, and the museum was still nowhere near complete. So, she decided to commit the next several days to really putting in some work on the Great Zombie Museum. We needed this thing completely built, so we could then turn our full attention to the list and filling the museum with zombie hit list contenders. So, Alita got to work. I cut down some newly sprouted trees around the museum and get to work building out the ground of the second floor. Then, I decided to head into the neighbourhood to grab 2 more Jennies. The Jenny at my fire station was slowly dying, so it needed replacing, but I also needed a Jenny to run power to the Great Zombie Museum. Whilst out and about, I sourced some outside lighting, which I stole from the police station and the courthouse. Back at the build site, I popped up a couple of the lights and sorted out the Jenny. Now we had power and light. Progress. I then continued chopping down trees, sawing logs into planks, and building walls for my Great Zombie Museum. I do this until I get too tired and it gets too dark to go on. Then I head for home and some well-earned rest. Zombie kill count, 6,991. It's day 77, and Alita wakes up and heads upstairs for some brekkie. Geez, we don't have much. The crab and the eel doesn't reduce hunger very much, and outside of that, it's just a bunch of tiny fish, which also really doesn't move the needle for hunger. I cook up the eel and then head outside to check on the farm. Our crops are young, so they must be pretty close to being ready to harvest. I just had to hold out for another couple of days. With food sorted, it was time to get back to work building the Great Zombie Museum. And so the process went on, chopping down trees, sawing into logs, putting down flooring, and making wooden walls. But after 2 solid days of building, the museum was really starting to take shape. Exhausted, I head back to the fire station and began reading Carpentry Volume 5 before getting some sleep. Zombie kill count, 6,991. It's day 78, and I start the day by planning a little trip into the neighbourhood to secure another Jenny. The more Jennies we had, the better, as I wasn't sure if I needed more than one to be able to power the entirety of the museum. Then, it was back to construction on the Great Zombie Museum. In the Arvo, I ventured east of the museum to cut down a bunch of trees, but for some reason, I get inhumanely tired. And I can't go on, so I retreat to the fire station and read Carpentry Volume 5 before getting an early night. Zombie kill count, 6,991. It's day 79, and Alita makes it a 4th day in a row of working on the Great Zombie Museum. She spends the morning chopping down trees in the nearby forest, and then brings the trailer over to transport all the logs back to the build site. Building up an appetite, and Alita heads back to the fire station for some lunch. cooking up some small fish.
Cook it or fuck off.
And in the process, she levels up cooking to level 3. The food situation though, really is quite dire. I'm down to bare bones from what I was able to pull out of the lake, my traps were useless and the cupboards were bare. We were just hanging on and really need the farm to be ready to harvest. After lunch, I returned to the Great Zombie Museum and saw down logs and continued to build walls for my museum. Finally, after 4 solid days of construction on the Great Zombie Museum, the bottom floor is almost complete.
Everything's coming up Millhouse.
Absolutely knackered from another day of hard grafting, Alita heads to bed and continues to read Carpentry level 5 before getting some much needed sleep. Zombie kill count 6,991. Well, fuck.
I'm so tired. I'm feeling so worn out. The apocalypse is long and I've lost so many friends. But the boys, they hold my head up. The fire station is home. The fire station is safe. And in a moment of beauty, the generator explodes and the whole place goes up in flames. The fire station burns to the ground.
Alita sat down to catch her breath and take in what had happened. The fire was rapid and merciless, and in a matter of minutes, the entire fire station had been gutted. The only positive was that the fire didn't spread and the Great Zombie Museum was safe. But everything was gone. What had happened? It must have been my Jenny. I knew the condition of the generator was low, but I honestly never thought it could blow up. A rookie mistake, which led to the ruin and destruction of so much work. Now what? The first problem was that Alita was hungry and we had no food. All our food and drinks were gone. The kitchen and the fire station was ashes and rubble. Luckily, the farm had escaped the fire, but our crops were not yet ready to harvest. So, I jumped into my car and I headed down to the fishing trap to hopefully salvage some fish. I got an eel, some denudo fish, a small bait fish, and some algae. I then grabbed one of my jennies, powering the museum, and took it into the neighbourhood to power one of the local homes, so I could use the oven to cook up the fish. With hunger sorted, I needed to secure some shelter, and I thought that this tiny home where I'd cooked up my fish was as good as any. It was still very close to my Great Zombie Museum, and I knew the area was relatively clear of the dead. So, dead on my feet, I crash out in my new home. What a disaster of a day. Zombie kill count, 7,003. It's day 81, and after the absolute shit show that was yesterday, Alita needed to think. What was next? The Great Zombie Museum had to be put on hold, while Alita can re-establish the basics in life. Food, water, shelter. A big day lay ahead. A storm had rolled in overnight, and Alita trudged through the pouring rain to desperately check on her farm. And luck finally shines on us. The zucchini is ready to harvest. Food. Desperately needed food. I get to work harvesting all the zucchini, leveling up farming to level 4, and in the process managed to collect 39 zucchini, which will hopefully keep me going for a few more days. With food sorted, I now needed fresh water. In the chaos of the fire yesterday, I did manage to save a few water jugs, but I needed a dispenser for me to access the water, so I headed on over to the police station to grab one. Returning home, I set it up in the living room and popped on one of my jugs. This will be my new temporary home, and with food, water and shelter secured, the checklist was now complete. But the problem with our new tiny home is that it had almost no storage space. So Alita decides to build some new storage crates and then spends the rest of the day braving the storm by going back and forth from the trailer, just dragging in all the loot that we saved from the fire. Getting tired, Alita grabs a bed from the house next door and settles in for the night. As the storm continues to rage outside, Alita falls into an uneasy sleep. Zombie kill count, 7,003. It's day 82, and with shelter, food, and water secured, Alita had to get back onto the mission of building the Great Zombie Museum. The disaster of the fire was a huge setback, but it wouldn't deter Alita from fulfilling her dreams. So, we grabbed some zucchini for brekkie, and we headed on over to the build site to get to work. I forged on through a terrible storm, building flooring for the second floor of my great museum. But the storm was so terrible and I was absolutely drenched. If Alita stayed out in this storm any longer, she risked getting sick. So I headed home to warm up and dry off and make an outfit change, which was more storm friendly. With my new look secured, I headed back out to continue work on the second floor. And whilst building, I decided to take the fast way down, almost killing myself in the process. I really must be more careful. I build until I'm too tired to go on, and I run out of planks. I head for home, and my Jenny has attracted a random zombie who is smashed in my window. I kill him and then chop down a tree and saw up some planks to barricade the window. Then it was off to sleep. Zombie kill count, 7,005. It's day 83 and Alita wakes up nice and early and decides to get straight back into building the Great Zombie Museum. A heavy fog has rolled in overnight as Alita begins the building process once again. The entire day is spent just working on the second floor of the museum. We build and build and build until she's too tired to go on. Exhausted, Alita heads home to get some well-earned rest. Zombie kill count, 7,005. It's day 84 and Alita starts the day by heading on over to the farm to hopefully find some good news. And yes, the potatoes are ready to harvest. And we managed to collect 33 potatoes to add to our food stocks. Heading back home though, and Alita needed to rethink her priorities. Her car had tragically died yesterday and no longer starts. And earlier that morning, her axe had broken whilst attempting to cut down some more trees. Reluctantly, we had to put the Great Zombie Museum on pause and turn our attention to supplies. The fire had gutted our resources and we needed more of everything. We needed more nails, more axes, we lost our welder's mask, our sledgy, a ton of key tools and weapons, and we don't even have a screwdriver. It was time to get back on the road. So, I thought a trip back to the Crossroads Mall was in order. There should be plenty of loot available inside the mall, and in the parking lot, there is plenty of opportunity to find a new ride. First though, we needed an actual working car to get us to the mall. So, I jump in my other truck to canvass Rosewood for a new car, and amazingly find a welder's mask and a rebar in the back of this broken down truck. But finding a new car proves difficult, so I return to the fire station and I check the two cars that have been sat in the parking lot since day one, and amazingly realise that this shitty little Renault can do the job. So I attach the gigantic trailer to the tiny car and I start the journey over to the mall. Arriving on the outskirts of Pit Stop, I remember the guns and ammo shop nearby. All our guns and ammo had been lost in the fire, and this was a good chance to replenish our armory. So I pull in and start looting. I completely loot the gun store and the shooting range, and with my flashlight drained of battery, I head back to my car and get some sleep in the driver's seat of my shitty little car. Zombie kill count, 7,019. It's day 85 and it's a cold morning, so I put on some new clothes that I found yesterday whilst looting the guns and ammo store. Then I pushed on to the bullet bait shop and I just continue looting so many more guns and ammo. But also find some great melee weapons, including machetes, baseball bats, and a couple of ninja swords. With the trailer full of weapons and ammo, it was time to continue to push on to the Crossroads shopping mall. I head through Muldra, and as I get to the north of town, I decide to stop and loot this large factory. After clearing the area, the factory comes up with the goods. I finally find a screwdriver and I pick up plenty of different tools and crafting materials that I had previously lost in the fire. Then I continue to push on for the mall. I take the long way round to avoid the difficulty of driving through the wilderness and I make it to a crossroads just north of the mall. I check the parking lot and find a near mint condition BMW. Perfect. I make the switch and continue for the mall. Arriving at the Crossroads Mall, and I decide to loot greens for more gardening equipment. But it was getting late, so I decided to sleep in my car for the night. Tomorrow, I'd breach the mall to check for more supplies. Zombie kill count, 7,093. It's day 86, and I wake up in my car in the Crossroads Mall parking lot. Having checked all the loot that I'd gathered on this run so far, I noticed I had secured absolutely 0 boxes of nails. And if I'm to complete the Great Zombie Museum, well, I'm going to need more nails. So, I thought while I'm here, I should check out the mall for a possible tool store where I might find some more nails. Alita heads into the mall, and the little area that we had cleared out earlier was still pretty quiet. But as I head further in, more of the dead emerged. There were still hundreds inside the mall. I fight and kill as many as I can as I search in vain for a possible tool store. But no luck, and I think it's too dangerous to go in any further as the place is still infested with the dead. So I decide to hightail it out of there and head back to Rosewood. I make the drive home in my Beamer and I arrive pretty late. Starving, I snack on some zucchini and some potatoes and then I head to bed. Zombie kill count, 7,196. It's day 87 and I wake up and start the day by emptying the trailer of all the loot that I grabbed from yesterday's supplies run. I quickly run out of storage space though, so I spend the morning going back and forth into the neighbourhood and bringing back more furniture for storage. I then head over to the farm to check on my onions, and they are indeed ready to harvest. So I get cracking on that and get 36 onions to add to my food stocks. I then decide to take advantage of the rain and plant some new crops, sowing in some carrots, some lettuce, and some cabbage. Next up, Alita heads on over to the Great Zombie Museum and unloads the new manis and the mani stands that I brought back from the mall. The bottom floor is almost complete, but I'm absolutely knackered. I keep getting so tired and overexerted all the time, so I check my weight, and geez, I weigh 49 pounds, and I'm emaciated. I need some meat in me. So I have a look at building some traps to perhaps catch some chickens or rabbits. After fumbling around trying to figure out how to make a trap, I realise I need to have read the hunting magazines to be able to craft them. And of course, all my literature burnt down in the fire, and I don't have the hunting magazines that I need. Maybe that's a job for tomorrow. Exhausted, Alita heads to bed. Zombie kill count, 7,196. Alita woke up and needed a new plan. Being emaciated wasn't it, and Alita could barely do anything without tiring very quickly. A loot run was in order. We needed those hunting magazines to be able to craft traps to hopefully catch some rabbits. So I thought I would dip my toes into March Ridge, as I knew there was a community centre in the middle of town with a library inside. So Alita grabbed some strong weapons and headed out, as I knew March Ridge was usually chock full of the dead. And sure enough, as we arrive, we have to kill our way towards the centre of town. After changing my underwear, I clear out the dead and start looting the library. And bingo, we find just what we're looking for. Hunting magazines. Now I can craft some traps. With the library looted, I don't push my luck in March Ridge and I get out of Dodge. Returning home with all my new books and magazines, I head inside and see if I can finally craft some traps. Unfortunately, I only have 15 nails left, but Alita manages to craft 2 traps. Progress. Tomorrow, I'll set them up and hopefully we can catch some rabbits and finally start to turn around my rapid weight loss. Zombie kill count, 7,328. It's day 89, and with our traps crafted last night, we headed out in the morning to set them up. I needed to be far enough away from my base and also in a deep forest area for the best chance of catching anything. Before I head out though, I check my storage containers at the farm for any worms, just in case they're good bait to set in my traps, and I find a little stash of 52 nails. Huge. I make 2 more box traps with the new nails to have a total of 4, and then I head out to set them up. In the Arvo, I decide to head out on an adventure. Despite finding 50 nails in the gardening crates, we were still well short of how many we would need to complete construction on the Great Zombie Museum. So, having a look at the map, we decided to head south to what looked like some promising industrial areas. Just south of March Ridge, and we come across what looks like some kind of large checkpoint. The road is completely blocked, so I leave the trailer and take my car in to see if there is any way through. I almost stupidly get myself trapped, a rookie mistake, which luckily I get away with. I need to be more careful. I kill the undead and then clear a couple of buildings at this checkpoint, but it gets too dark to push on. I retreat to my car to get some sleep, and will hopefully look for a way through tomorrow. Zombie kill count, 7,383. Well, that's perhaps the scariest possible way to wake up. It's day 90, and with that out of the way, I decided to head further into this checkpoint on foot, looking to clear the area of the dead, and also try to find a way to bring through my car and the trailer. I managed to bring through the trailer, and then I get to work clearing the undead on the other side of the checkpoint. I do find a maid, that's one for the zombie hit list. And then I find a bee truck. It has heaps of goods in the back, including a lot of honey. Any extra food is great at this point. Then, just as I'm about to push on, I come across another zombie hit list contender. This time, a cultist boss. Nice. We continue south and come across some train tracks. We hop out and clear the dead and push on through to our first target. I arrive and it's getting late, and against my better judgment, I push on in the dark with my flashlight. This facility turns out to be some kind of ruins, or an abandoned place that was perhaps under construction. There will probably be nothing here, and yet the first tiny box I find and check has a bloody box of nails in it. What a win. The rest of the place though doesn't turn up much, and it's getting really dark and too dangerous to stay out. I retreat to my car to sleep for the night. Zombie kill count, 7,519. It's day 91, and I wake up inside my car, this time undisturbed. I eat some brekkie of onion, potato and honey, and with that, I check my weight, and I finally have a little up arrow. It must be all the honey that I've been smashing since yesterday. I then decide to head back into the construction site to hopefully find some more nails. I check the area and no luck, but I do find an MRE ready-to-eat meal. I open that and it's a can of chili, a chocolate cookie, and some raspberry shortbread. This will surely help with putting on more weight. I head back to the car and push on to our next target. And as I arrive, it looks like some kind of small town, surrounded by a railroad. I find a food market and it comes up big, with quite a few canned goods and some rice. I continue to battle the dead, and on one of the corpses I find a Ford 350 key. I spy the truck nearby, and amazingly it's in great condition, and it even has a full tank of gas. Huge. I'll definitely be making the switch. I forge on, killing the dead, and I find a second box of nails. Massive. Then I force my way into a warehouse, and yes, another box of nails. Honestly, this is going better than I thought it would. But this place was still crawling with the dead, so we had some work to do. I kill and kill and kill until it's too dark to go on, and I retreat to my car to get some sleep. Zombie kill count, 7,753. It's day 92, and today I hope to push into the 2 large warehouses to the west of the train tracks. After I check those out, I don't think that I'll push my luck and I'll head back to Rosewood. Jesus Lord, what in God's name is that?
Destroy it!
So it turns out to be just some kind of costume, but that's absolutely going into my great zombie museum. The warehouses though turn out to be a big disappointment. The place is just full of industrial machinery and no loot. What a bummer. So, with 3 boxes of nails secured, I decide to start the long drive back to the safety of Rosewood. It had been a semi-successful trip. A new shiny truck, 300 nails, a few great zombie museum contenders, and plenty of food, to the point where we were finally putting on weight. Life was good. Making it home safe and sound, and the first thing I do is head on over to my traps to see if they'd caught anything while I was away. I arrive to find one of my traps broken, and 2 traps not having caught anything at all. But the last trap has a goddamn chicken in it. Amazing. Alita will eat well tonight. I return back to base and decide to head out and do a little work on the Great Zombie Museum. With our newfound nails, we can finally get stuck into finishing the 2nd floor. Exhausted, Alita heads back to her small home and starts reading Trapping Volume 1 before bed. Zombie kill count, 7,833. It's day 93, and having just returned home from a long adventure, Alita decides to first go and check on her 3 traps for any food that they may have caught. Of the 3 traps, 1 has been destroyed and the other 2 have caught absolutely nothing. Trapping is hard. I return to base and go about chopping down a bunch of trees to get working on the walls for the 2nd level of the Great Zombie Museum. Around midday, I head back into the neighbourhood on the lookout for more lights. I needed to find a way to light the inside of the museum, but I have absolutely no clue what I'm doing. I collect a bunch of outdoor lamps and connect them to the inside walls of our museum. It kind of works, and there is some light inside, but it needs more work. But for now, this will have to do. Whilst out, I did grab a bunch of boxes for more storage space back at my new tiny base, so I can then continue to unpack all of the loot from the trailer. Wanting to make my new tiny home a little nicer, I unpack and set up some of the stuff that I found on my travels, including a clock, a rug, and some wall art. Then, I head to bed, and I continue reading Trapping Volume 1. Zombie kill count, 7,833. It's day 94, and we draw ever closer to reaching our goal of surviving 100 days in Project Zomboid. So, with time running out, Alita had to dig in and get to work continuing to build out the 2nd floor of her museum. Alita spends all day chopping down trees, bringing them over to the construction site, sawing them down into planks, and building out the wooden framing for the 2nd floor. As the sun sets though, Alita has managed to completely finish the framing, but it comes at a cost, with now just 73 nails left in our inventory. We may have to go out on another loot run in an attempt to find some more. I then check my farm and I realise some of my carrots are diseased, so I treat them with some insecticide and then I head back to my little home and I jump into bed. A quiet day for Alita, but finishing the museum was inching ever closer. I continue to read Trapping Volume 1 before getting some sleep. Zombie kill count, 7,833. It's day 95, and I start the day by moving over all the zombie hitless contenders that I was yet to put up on display into my museum. We had several new members, including White Santa Claus suit zombie, a maid outfit zombie, and a jockey zombie. We also had a blue Robbie the Rabbit suit, which I set up next to my purple Robbie the Rabbit. I also had a cultish leader with his giant scythe, the bloodsucker costume zombie, destroy it! A chainmail zombie, and a party clown zombie. All in all, we had added another 8 zombies to the museum. After a few days of building though, Alita was bored and decided to head on over to the prison. Back on day 20 of our adventure, we had attempted and failed to clear the prison of the infected. So, I knew it was still stacked with zombies, and I thought there might be some possible zombie hitless contenders hanging around. Arriving at the prison, I get out my shotgun and I start blasting. This quickly turned into a terrible idea. There is just so many zombies here, and they come from every direction, so herding them up becomes quite difficult. Things quickly spiral, and I realise that this is actually a terrible idea, so I turn tail and I head back for the safety of Rosewood. It's getting late, but I'm back in town, and I go and check my traps, which is again another failure. The bits of veggies I'm setting as bait just isn't working. We needed more worms. Returning home, I check my weight, and we've bounced back to now just be very underweight. Huge moves. I jump into bed and continue reading Trapping Volume 1. Zombie kill count, 7,935. It's day 96, and it was time for another loot run. I had decided to head back to the lovely old town of Muldra on the hunt for more nails, and I had my eye on a couple of industrial complexes where I would hope to find some more building materials. I emptied out my trailer, grabbed the essential 4 in food, water, tools and weapons, and I headed for Muldra. Arriving in Muldra, an Alita had to go about clearing the area before being able to loot the first warehouse. We looted our first warehouse and found some great loot, but alas, no boxes of nails. I did, however, luck out and find 4 mannequins inside one of the garages. Huge. We collected those, and as the storm raged on, we moved on to our next target. I arrived and immediately drew a very large crowd. Tired and in a poor area for fighting, I decided to draw them down the road and then loop back around. It worked. Elite big brain plays. I killed some stragglers, and I looted another storing facility, but still, no nails to be found anywhere. It had gotten late though, and rather than driving all the way home to sleep, I decided to hide out in this storeroom for the night so that I'll be able to continue the search in the morning. Zombie kill count, 8,076. It's day 97, and I wake up inside a small storage room in the middle of Muldra. The hunt was back on for more nails, so I head out and I kill my way in to the next warehouse. Jackpot. So many loot crates. Surely I could find some nails here. Searching through the crates, and I'm finding pretty good loot, but so far, no nails. I was starting to worry, when suddenly I found 1 box, which rapidly turned into 2, and then 3, and then 4. I also got to work disassembling some crates for even more nails, and all told, I left the warehouse with nearly 450 fresh nails. A big win. With nails secured, I decided to push on for the logging camp to see if I could find even more. Arriving at the logging camp, I clear the dead, but the place comes up relatively dry. Spying a road, I head further north and come across a large warehouse area that must be the main working area for McCoy logging. The dead are ever present though, so I get to work.
Life can change in the blink of an eye. It's not the same since the day that we died. But we're still here, I see the fire in your eyes. There's nothing that we cannot survive. Oh, let's make it through tonight. Make it through tonight, we'll survive.
I kill, and kill until it's too dark to go on. Retreating to my truck, I decide to risk it and get some sleep in the car. With the area mostly clear, I should be free to loot this complex in the morning. Zombie kill count, 8,262. It's day 98 and I wake up in my car, undisturbed. I try to start her up, but no luck. Looks like there's an issue. Turns out, it's a low battery. I find a heavy-duty battery in a C10 Chevy nearby and I make the switch. I then decide to push on and loot these large warehouses. I manage to find one more box of nails in one of the warehouses and then I decide to call it and head for home. The loot run overall was a success, finding just over 550 nails. This will certainly get us close to finishing off the museum. I make it home and go about unpacking some of the loot from the run, and then I get to work chopping down a bunch of trees and moving the logs over to the build site. In between runs, I check on my farm and my cabbage and lettuce is ready to harvest. Great news. I harvest both and get 37 cabbages and 31 lettuce. This food should get me to the finish line. I push on and I start building out some wooden walls for the second floor, but it eventually becomes too dark to keep going. I head for home and I finish reading Tailoring Volume 1 before bed. Zombie kill count, 8,293. It's day 99 and we're officially just one day away from making our goal of surviving 100 days in Project Zomboid. Today was another building day. Our loot run yesterday had turned up over 500 nails, so Alita wanted to try and finish off the walls on the second floor of her museum. Whilst building, Alita levels up Carpentry to level 9. She was now probably the second greatest carpenter of all time. Work continued as the morning dragged on, and eventually all the second floor walls were in place. On the eve of day 99, Alita wanted to mark the moment, and feeling wild and free, she dyes her hair bright pink, and then, all alone, she dances the night away.
The day the sky turned ashen gray, with zombies dancing in our way, we grabbed our hats and hit the scene, surviving nights like none have seen. Oh, when the dead swing by, we twirl, we sway and fly.
After 99 days trapped in a zombie apocalypse all alone, Alita was perhaps beginning to lose her grasp on reality. I head to bed and continue reading Carpentry Volume 5 before getting some sleep. Zombie kill count, 8,293. It's day 100 and Alita has officially made it to her goal of surviving 100 days in Project Zomboid. We wake to the first snowfall of the year, but a little weather won't stop Alita's plans to make one final push to the shopping mall to collect as many manis and mani stands as she could. We reach North Muldra and disaster strikes. The truck kicks the bucket and I have to quickly jump out of the car and fight. We find a new whip nearby and make a few repairs and then siphon some gas over and we're back on the road. Alita forged on, determined to grab as many manis and mani stands as she could, but the roads were packed with the dead, and another mistake. I crashed hard into a tree, wedging the car up off the ground. The car wouldn't move, and the dead were closing in. They seem to come from everywhere. I don't know what it is about this small road, but the dead come from every direction. I fight and fight until it's finally clear. I chop down the tree that is holding my car in place, but the car is totally fucked. How have I done this? I've managed to ruin 2 cars on the way to the mall. I'm back on foot, and the new plan is to find a new car. So, I head on through the trees, and it looks to be the edge of a small town. I spy one lone car in the parking lot, and by some miracle, she's in decent nick. I get her going, and then head back to my busted car to hopefully attach the trailer and get back on the road. By now, Alita had abandoned the idea of making it to the mall, and now we just needed to get home. Arriving back at the trailer, and more of the dead have arrived. Seriously, fuck this road. Alita is exhausted. What was supposed to be a routine trip to the mall for more manis has turned into a bloody battle that has stretched the entire day. And it all happened at this tiny bend in the road. And now, with just one crawler left, I can finally go home. Fuck. Alita was bitten. I get in the car, and with my trailer attached, Alita tries to get on the move, but the car won't budge. It must be stuck on something. I give the car all she's got, and she slowly inches forward, but something has me trapped. Then, the noise of the revved engine brings more out of the night. I'm quickly surrounded. Dead tired, panicked, bleeding, and now limping from a bite on my lower leg, Alita sits in her car and contemplates the situation. The car is stuck, and she perhaps only has moments to decide whether to accept her fate or whether to make one more desperate attempt to survive. She musters up all her courage, scrambles into the back seat, and she jumps out of the car.